with a choice of 4 colors, as well as the Cutlass Supreme with its tradition of style, luxury.
Are your grades in jeopardy?
Okay, class, let's get started. The category is health, and the answer is this American preoccupation could be called the Battle of the Bulge. David.
What is anticaloric ingestology?
New category.
When you need that extra edge, you need extra help. The TV classroom to watch for homework help in math, science, health, and computer literacy. Now, back to Johnny.
For extra credit, the final answer is this Cablevision series helps students make the grade. Lori.
What is extra help?
Watch Extra Help Monday through Thursday at 5:30 p.m. on Cablevision Channel 20.
Cablevision game is being brought to you by Apple Bank for Savings. We're good for you. By Genovese Drug Stores, a real drugstore, and so much more. By Adelphi University. And by St. John's University. The university is St. John's.
Welcome to Hampton Stadium in Mineola. Today, Cablevision's Long Island Sports Network presents a Nassau Conference Ford Showdown. The Cold Spring Harbor Seahawks square off with the Mustangs of Mineola. Hi, everyone. I'm Carl Reuter along with Emerson Boozer and M. A beautiful stadium, a beautiful day, and we've got quite a matchup with Cold Spring Harbor and Mineola this afternoon.
It's quite a matchup, plus an important matchup, especially for Mineola. They've got to win if they're going to stay in contentions and make the playoffs in Conference 4. Cold Spring Harbor doesn't have the kind of pressure that Mineola has, so we'll see what happens as these two teams square off this afternoon.
Well, if you're going to watch for Cold Spring Harbor. They've got a great runner in Timmy Barnes. The coach told me probably the best athlete on the squad.
Timmy Barnes is a longtime starter, some 3-year starter there at Cold Spring Harbor. Kind of runner that averaged this season 121 yards per carry. He's the backbone of the running attack along with that offensive line.
Well, the offensive line that you mentioned, they live and die by the run, so the offensive line is definitely a key this afternoon.
And that's right. Coach Queso likes to run the football. He has the people to run the football with, mainly with Timmy Barnes, and you'll see them go with the unbalanced line basically all afternoon.
All right, and defensively for Cold Spring Harbor, they like the 4-5-2, and they start 2 juniors and 2 sophomores.
And they're a cohesive group. They know what they're doing. They play that basic 4-5-3. And when you do that, you're playing a defense that the young folk know and they play extremely well. They're a sound defensive unit.
Well, if you look at the Mineola Mustangs, I guess you start off with Mike McDonald, their running back, who 3 times this season has gone over 200 yards plus rushing. Last week, 233 yards and a 75-yard TD run against Carl Place in a 13-12 loss.
McDonald's just picking up where he left off last year, gaining well over 1,200 yards from the previous season. Coming back this year, picking up the same kind of pace. Got off to a slow start at the first game, gaining only 55 yards. But since that time, he's been on a hot streak.
And he's 5'10", 170 pounds, and he's very strong.
And that's a good size for a running back, 5'10", 170. You think that they might be 200 pounds, 215, 220. But from 170 to 180 pounds is a good size and good height for a running back.
And defensively, John Wilson, the nose guard. Coach Al Wideline is very impressed with his play. They need a big game from him to come up big today.
John is the anchor of the defensive line. He's right over center. He's the kind of guy that steadies the whole boat there. Whenever it rocks, John Wilson will steady that thing.
So you've got it down here on the field. We talked about the basics for both clubs, and Frank Cortali will be back to talk with both coaches following this timeout. You're watching high school football on Cablevision.
Jerry, here's a free pass to our next game.
Thanks, Barry, and here's something free for you, a free Apple Bank checking account.
Free?
Absolutely free. No monthly maintenance charges, no per-check charges, nothing.
I can write all the checks I want at no cost?
The only charge you'll get is out of Apple Bank's fine service. And we'll pay you 5.25% interest on balances of $700 or more.
Apple Bank for Savings. We're good for you.
Frank Cortelli here with the coaches of today's game, Al Wideline of Mineola and Dick Caso of Cold Spring Harbor. And Dick, Cold Spring Harbor has their work cut out for them on defense today. Mike McDonald, 203 yards 2 weeks ago, 233 yards last week. Any changes planned for defense?
No, basically our defense is geared to stop the run, so hopefully we can key it out and stop him. We know he's an outstanding back.
Okay. And Al, this is a must game really for Mineola. 3-2, another loss could knock you right out of the playoff competition. It's a must game also in the fact that we're looking at revenge here also. Last year, 38-6, the Mustangs lost to Cold Spring Harbor last year. But what is your club thinking coming into this game?
Well, I don't think a revenge factor is anything in our minds. We just have to win, and we've got to keep winning, and we want to try to get back to post and make the playoffs. So our kids are looking forward for a tough game. Cold Spring Harbor is defending champs, a great tradition. And, you know, this is a must game for us. No revenge. It's a must game.
Okay, good luck, coaches. And Emerson and Carl will be back to call the play-by-play. You're watching Cablevision's Long Island Sports Network.
At Genovese, our prescription policy is care. Care for young Tommy, who's allergic to anything with penicillin in it. Right, Tommy?
Right.
So Genovese is installing this new GenCare pharmacy computer system. See? The computer shows Tommy's prescription profile and his allergy. The GenCare pharmacy computer system provides prescription profile records for you and your family. At Genovese, we care about you. Genovese, a real drugstore.
Go! And we are back here at Hampton Stadium. Carl Reuter along with Emerson Boozer and M just about set for the kickoff, and it looks to be that Mineola will receive. And we have a glorious day for a game, but more importantly, a big game here because these power rating systems, and we'll get more into that at halftime, plays a big part in getting into the playoffs here in Nassau County.
That's the key, and with Mineola, the Big Red being down 3-2, or record 3-2 at this point, they are at a must-win situation to stay alive.
All right, so as we said, the kickoff upcoming here. A beautiful day and a nice crowd settling in here at Hampton Stadium. And Mineola will do the kicking off. And kicking off for Mineola will be Chris Bentley, 6'1", 185-pound senior. And receiving the kicks will be Mike McDonald and Danny Casa, taken here by the short man. But as the kickoff came, we have some early whistles, and we'll take care of business. And as long as we did have a whistle, why don't we go through the referee here and the field judges for this afternoon. The referee is Paul Winchester. The umpire is Joe Belillo. The headlinesman, Danny Nizic, and the line judge is Charlie Fiorentine. And you get a look there at the referee, Paul Winchester. So it's going to be 1st and 10 for Mineola as they break out of the huddle. We'll set them up offensively for you. The quarterback is number 21, Bob Truman, 6'2", 195-pound junior. And he's got Mike McDonald, that running back we talked about in the open. Man in motion. Truman calls signals. There's the pitch to McDonald. He's got a lot of running room, gets to the outside, and gets tripped up at about the 45-yard line, a pickup of about 15 or 20. So right away, Mike McDonald showing his running prowess.
Yes, he did. That was just an outstanding play. Truman comes down the line on the option, flipping it out to McDonald, and McDonald hit the entire corner. Nobody in sight.
Bob Truman, as I said, he's a junior. He's got a good arm. He played as a freshman 3 straight games. You get a good look at number 21. And then he broke his foot, and he didn't play at all last year. Had 3 interceptions in the first game, but hasn't thrown one since. This is McDonald again on the pitch, going to the right. He's up to midfield, crosses midfield down to about the 48-yard line. Pick up another 5 or 6 yards. So McDonald getting into the flow very early.
They've done what they wanted to do right away, Carl, and that is to see if they can get Mike McDonald to the outside. So they open up, opening play as we see the linebackers here for Cold Spring Harbor.
That's Rich Yashewski, Tim Barnes. We'll go to the backs, and Robert DeRiso, David Shum, and Scott Whalahan, the 2 safeties back there. And quickly, a timeout has been called. You see Coach Caso out on the field talking to his troops, and there's Al Wideline also out there talking. An early timeout. We've only played about a minute and 5 seconds here. What could they possibly be talking about so early in the game?
I think Coach Queso wants to set his defense and get them on the proper page, because I'm sure he's worked on that kind of action all week, meaning action, the kind of plays that Mineola open up with. That is a option right, option left, and they've gotten good yardage both tries. So he wants to try to steady his defense, try to reiterate to them what they've gone over all week, and see if they can stop Mike McDonald.
It's going to be 2nd and 3 from the 49-yard line. Truman calling signals. The lone setback is McDonald. Now man in motion coming. That's Scott Cesny. He was an all-county quarterback last year. Now the inside handoff goes to number 37, the big fullback, Mark Cagliati, picks up a couple. Not much gain, and that tough defensive line of Mineola stopped them cold.
Well, coming inside, they're running to the likes of Restieri and Miller, Knapp and Hendricks. They're pretty sound up front, but the linebacking core here is very active. They are a good linebacking core, and it's pretty tough to test that inside. I think we'll see Mineola go back outside with it.
Well, let's see what happens as Mineola, once again, they come up now. It's 3rd down and about 3 from about the 48-yard line, just underway here from Hampton Stadium in Mineola. That's Bob Truman, the quarterback. Truman with the pitch again. This is McDonald trying to get to the outside, cuts back to the inside, and he's got the 1st down and more as McDonald fights his way inside the 40 down to about the 37-yard line. And you see Mr. McDonald getting up for that pile, and he's had some spectacular games. The 5'10", 170-pound senior, he's strong, and we get another look at McDonald, and we'll see that upper body strength that I was just going to talk about.
Oh, watch it again here as he gets around Peter Schweibert and tries to fight his way free. The young man has good feet, as we call it as a runner, very good feet.
1st and 10 from the 42, and another timeout. Truman might not have liked what he saw defensively, and here comes Coach Al Wideline onto the field again. So we played about 2.5 minutes, and we've had 2 quick timeouts. And you get a look at Al Wideline, coach here at Mineola High School. And as I was alluding to before about McDonald, he's had some spectacular games this season. 167 yards against North Shore. He scored 2 touchdowns in that game. 119. I guess maybe he only played 1 half, I don't know. Valley Stream South, 1 touchdown. 203 yards against Valley Stream North, and then last week 233 yards against Carl Place in that tough loss. And he capped it off with a 75-yard touchdown run. And from what I understand, as you get a look at Dick Queso, coach at Cold Spring Harbor, what I understand, he ran through just about everybody en route to the goal line.
I can see why this young man has that ability. He's got very good feet. Leg movement is very nice, and he's strong in the thighs and leg movement because he breaks tackles at 170 pounds.
So, Mineola Mustangs come back up to the line of scrimmage. And as we said, that's Truman. Scott Cesny is in the slot back. There's McDonald splitting out to the, I guess, the wing side there. Number 30 is McDonald. The fullback is Cagliati. This is Truman, back to pass, looking for the receiver. That's the big guy, Casey. Casey's got running room, and he ducks inside the 25, down to about the 23. And Coach Queso was very worried about if the ball went up. Joe Casey was the man they were going to go to, and he found big number 80.
Yes, he did. He found James Casey outside and took Peter Schweibert to bring him down, because right now as Casey turns up, he almost gets away, and Peter Schweibert makes a tackle, almost a touchdown-saving tackle.
So, first pass of the day was completed by Truman. And we'll get another look as the Mustangs are on the move. Big ball game here. Man in motion. This is Truman. On the pitch, this is McDonald trying to get to the outside. He does, has some running room, and knocked out of bounds at around the 10-yard line. A great run there, breaking a couple of tackles. And number 60, Timmy Miller, came in there and pushed him out of bounds, and sort of got in his way. And we'll see McDonald once again coming to the near side of the field, getting to the outside.
Now take a look again. Truman gets out, takes the hit. The ball is pitched out to number 30, his tailback, Mike McDonald. And the guy that just missed is a pretty good tackler normally, Chris Callahan. He just out-distanced Callahan down the field for a nice gain.
Also credit Timmy Barnes coming in from that linebacker spot. We'll see him on offense in just a little bit, but he also was in on that tackle. This is Truman, gives on the inside handoff, and not for that much. The give was to Cagliati, the big fullback. And 6'1", 100, no, I got that number wrong. Cagliati's 5'10", 195-pound junior. And not too often does he get the ball to run. He's run it 2 or 3 times already, but coach says he only wants him to run the ball about 6 or 7 times in the ball game. I guess when you have McDonald why give it to anybody else?
When you get a back like Cagliari is basically a blocking back, but he can run. And what he does when you run that kind of play inside, you keep the team honest. Let them know that this guy can run also.
Well, he will run the counter plays. He scored 2 touchdowns so far this season. Once again, the lone setback. This is McDonald. Truman barking out the signals. He's got Casey split wide to the left. In motion was a man. Now the give to McDonald. Looks to get to the outside. He's got running room. Looking for the corner of the end zone. Gets the tackler and breaks it and gets in the end zone for 6 points. Mike McDonald with a fine run, finding the end zone, broke the tackle, and 6-0. Mineola with a fine drive to open up this ball game.
And that was just a fine piece of running, Carl. A lot of it was done on his own by number 30. As you see, Mike McDonald, in our replay, I'm sure we have, you'll see him break back without very little outside blocking. Naturally, the front guys of Wilson, Wingler, and Casey outside as a wideout. He just wiggled his way, beat one defender, and outdistanced the other for a 6-pointer.
Well, this Jim Daugherty try for the extra point is up, and it's good. So Daugherty makes the score 7-0. Mineola with about as good a drive as you possibly can have him. They ran the ball, the one good pass to Casey, and here is the end result, 6 points, McDonald.
Notice there that just a little move to the outside, and he leaves number 24, Rob DeRiso, lying on the ground into the end zone for the 6-pointer.
So far in the game, McDonald 5 carries, 53 yards, an 11-yard touchdown run. They won 8 plays, 76 yards. You're getting it another look from another angle, the end zone camera. McDonald just scoots into the end zone.
And that was Scott Whelan, the last guy to take a shot at him, and he ended up getting grass himself.
So Mineola now, Al Wyline has to be very, very happy about that opening drive. It was very important to get on the board, and he did exactly that, got on early. And we'll have to see what Cold Spring Harbor can do to bounce back. You know, you don't like to give up that early. You don't like to give up any touchdowns, but first drive of the day, and boom, 6 points, and you're down 7-0 after the point after.
Mineola made that look awfully easy, too, moving the football down the field.
This is the kickoff. They like Timmy Barnes to handle, but this goes to number 25, Peter Schweibert. He's got running room, breaks up the middle. A big run for Schweibert up to the 45-yard line. So Cold Spring Harbor comes right back. A great run by Peter Schweibert. So 1st and 10 from the 45-yard line of Cold Spring Harbor. Great field position, and they're going to make a big run for it. You get a look at their offense now. We'll check them in as they come into the ballgame. Number 12, the quarterback, David Shum, 6'4", 175-pound sophomore. He doesn't throw. He won't run. He just about hands off. And there you see Scott Wheelahan and Timmy Barnes, Chris Callahan, the wing T, the unbalanced offense. They will go with a lot of backs. Timmy Miller, John Knapp, Doug Tewksbury, Larry Resteri, and Mike Hendrick on the line. Now this is the give in the backfield, tripped up. And being tripped up there was number 20, Scott Whalahan, brought down by Mark Cataliotta. We get a look at the defense. Bobby Truman, John Entenman, John Wilson, Andy Cunningham, Richard Weiler. The big man is Wilson in the middle. That's the defensive line for Mineola. And Mark Cataliotti and Peter Winter are the linebackers. And get a look at the secondary, Dietrich, McDonald, Acosta, and Scott Cesny. And we'll get more into Scott Cesny as the game goes on. We talked about him being the all-county quarterback last year. This is Shum. Inside handoff. That's Barnes. He gets about 3, maybe 4 on the play. But Timmy Barnes is the man that we talked about, brought down by number 37. Once again, Mark Cataliotti. Timmy Barnes, co-captain. And a starter since his sophomore year, about 121 yards a game, man.
Yes, this is a matter of here. This is nuts and bolt type football, and that is linemen line up, get into the bodies of your opponent across from you, give the ball to Timmy Barnes, and let him move it upfield.
Okay, so it's 3rd and 10 from the 45. You see the stacked backfield. There's the give inside to number 22. He's got some big running room. That's Mike Kammer. A big gain for a first down. The inside handoff brought down by number 76, John Entenman from Mineola. You get a look at Kammer on a fine run.
That was a good run by Kammer on the inside reverse, probably with a little bit of a trap too in there. And before you know it, number 22, Mike Kammer, was upfield looking for extra running room.
And with guys, even though it's high school, with an unbalanced wing T, the offense is very complicated. What about the Mineola defense now? Are these guys old enough to handle that type of an offense?
Yes, they are. With Coach Whiteline and his staff, they line them up man over man, basically what you're doing, and don't let him beat you.
The give is to the inside for a couple. The man in motion was Kammer, who just had that run, and brought down by Mike McDonald. And coming back into the game is Scott Whalahan. You're going to see a lot of motion. Chris Callahan comes out Whalehan goes in. There's going to be a lot of movement in that backfield, and that's the way Queso likes to play the game.
Yes, he does. He also likes to run the football. When you will very seldom see him throw it, he'll bring those big troops out, and they'll line up unbalanced line either right or left, and they're going to power you.
This is camera in motion again, number 22, but flags thrown all over. And we'll look for the preliminary indication from the referee, who's Paul Winchester today. Queso told me the other day when I was speaking with him, he said he'll find 3 plays that he likes, and the indication is illegal motion right now against Cold Spring Harbor. He will find 3 plays, and he said he'll run them until the cows come home.
Well, that's the philosophy of one of the great coaches in the NFL, Vince Lombardi. He would like to run his sweep right, the Green Bay sweep right, Green Bay sweep left, and the big fullback off tackle. Everybody in the league knew he was going to do it, but it was a matter of stopping him.
All right, so we've got second down, about 13, 5:45 to go. Now the reverse. This is a option play, and it was thrown away. Handoff from Barnes, and the pass was thrown away. And that pass was thrown by number 11. And I'm going to check my roster because I don't have a number 11. But the Barnes handoff, and
that was Rich Yashewski.
All right, Yashewski. And we heard that he can play some quarterback and throw the ball. He's a number 11, an outside linebacker, a sophomore, but he had the man open. He just couldn't find him, Yashewski.
Well, it was well executed, and I thought Yashewski was going to keep the football and run because he had lots of running room out here, too.
Let me make a correction that the referee is Ron Winchester, not Paul. Now there's the pass completed, and something you won't see too often. Pass completed by Shum to number 90, big tight end Joe Costello, and they only throw the ball about 5 or 6 times a game. Tackle was made by John Enterman, and we'll get another look.
This is somewhat an element of surprise. You see number 12, David Shum, go back to throw, and his favorite receiver, the big tight end, Joe Costello, and he's wide open.
Well, I was told that if Cold Spring Harbor throws the ball, it will be to the big tight end, Shum, and there's more tight end Costello, more confusion on the line. And we'll wait again for the indication, but Cold Spring Harbor coming right back and doing some things that they don't normally do, throw the football.
Well, again, I say that's the element of surprise. They will throw the football to Costello, and sometimes they'll come to Mike Kammer when they do throw. I don't think that they're a team that cannot throw. It is the philosophy of Coach Queso to run the football as much as he can. And usually when coaches run at you a lot, they're trying to control the tempo of the ball game. And if they get it their way, they usually beat you.
Offsides against Cold Spring Harbor. It'll be first down and 15 from the 34-yard line. Inside handoff. Kammer gets about 4 or 5. Try to step over number 30, Mike McDonald, but McDonald got in the way and brought him down. Also assisting was Bob Truman, the quarterback, who plays defensive end for Mineola.
Well, it's unusual to see a quarterback down at his defensive end slot, but Truman is 6'2", roughly 180, 90 pounds, and he's pretty good size, so you've got to put him at the defensive line slot.
So, Cold Spring Harbor, the Seahawks doing what their coach said he wanted them to do, sustain some drives. He'd like to hold the ball 6 or 7 minutes. Second down and 10, you got to look from the 31. This is the pitch to Barnes. He's got running room to the outside, cuts back, spins off tackle, picks up another 6 or 7. Finally brought down by number 20, Steve Detria, but Barnes spinning, weaving his way down for a big gainer.
Beautiful maneuvering by Timmy Barnes as we watch again in our replay. Ball is flipped out by Shum to Barnes, and watch this move here. And he spins, he hits, he rolls, breaks the tackle. Now, if they don't come over and take care of this guy, he's into the end zone.
And there's a good look at Queso, the coach at Cold Spring Harbor. First and 10 from the 17-yard line for the Seahawks. This is Shum. This is Barnes going to the wide side, the far side of the field. Gets about 4 or 5. He had success to the right side. They figured they'd try the open side of the field as he ran around the left side, brought down by Bob Truman, 6'2", 195-pound junior.
That's what you do with it, Carl. If you're running right and you've had a lot of luck with it, you just turn the page over to the opposite side and let's try to this side.
Well, Timmy Barnes coming out, which means Chris Callahan, number 33, checked back into the ball game. And we've got 3.5 minutes in a very fast-moving first quarter. Mineola opened it up with a 76-yard scoring drive. Mike McDonald taking it in from 11. Cold Spring Harbor now, this is their first possession, and they're marching downfield. Inside handoff, that went to number 20. Scott Whalehan picks up a couple. So they're just running the ball, taking it right to the gut, right down the middle on that play.
And looks like they picked up another first down.
And here you see Timmy Barnes coming in, Callahan coming out. Callahan's 5'11", 210-pound senior.
That's good size. Right now, they're resting just inside the 10-yard line, and this is when you go to your goal line type offense. And let's see what Cold Spring Harbor comes up with.
That's David Shum, 6'4", 180-pound junior quarterback. Gives off. Barnes looking to get to the outside. He's got a couple of men to beat. Gets down to about the 5-yard line and brought down there by number 5, Danny Acosta, a little guy in that secondary, only 5'8", 145 pounds, but he's the best defensive back that the team has. We'll get another look at the run here.
Watch again in the replay here. Shum hands off to his bread and butter guy, Timmy Barnes, and Barnes gets to the corner, fights off a would-be tackler, and picks up a good strong 5. You see the guy lying on the ground, number 5, Danny Acosta, is being dragged.
First down and goal from the 5. Here's the give. Gets down to about the 2. That was Callahan on the carry. And Callahan, a man who's just brought down by Mark Cataliotti, has played soccer the last few years, and he's first getting acclimated to the game of football.
Yes, and I think it's a tribute to Callahan's ability as an athlete, because when you don't play organized sport, especially football or any other organized sport, and come in and do as well, there's a tribute to his athletic ability.
Well, Callahan comes out. Barnes is in there with Whalen. The give to Barnes. He plows through. We'll wait for the indication to see how close he's got. He's got to be right on top of that goal line right now. And obviously he's not in, so they'll set it up again. But you're talking about Callahan. I guess it's a compliment now, because his coach calls him the William Perry of high school. The refrigerator of high school football.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess William Perry is making a name for himself, so it's not an insult to Mr. Callahan to be in the same company.
Ball resting about 1 foot away from pay dirt, Carl.
Well, let's see if they hit pay dirt. Here's a quarterback. This is Callahan, the big man, and he just plows his way over for 6 points and pay dirt. And you said about a foot away, and why not give it to the man on the short yardage situation? The big guy, Callahan, 210 pounds, takes it in, makes it 7-6, and you get a look at the big guy.
Well, I tell you, the drive by Cold Spring Harbor did not go as smoothly as for the Big Red in their scoring with Mike McDonald, but certainly they were methodical. They moved the ball right down the field with intentions of scoring, and that they did. We've got a tie ball game at this point.
Well, one point, 7-6 Mineola. Now, something interesting. Cold Spring Harbor will not kick any extra points, will not kick any field goals. They will strictly go for the conversion here, so they'll try to get on top, 8-7. Here's the give to Barnes. Look to go outside, cuts back inside, but he's gang tackled there. Number 30, Mike McDonald, in on one of the tacklers. Cataliotti getting up, and number 20 there, Whalen. So they stopped it pretty good. And 7-6, Mineola on top, and we're going to step out for a commercial break here. So, with a timeout on the field, the score, Mineola 7, Cold Spring Harbor 6. You're watching high school football on Cablevision.
The university, locus for clear and consistent thinking, the appreciation of our cultural heritage, the advancement of knowledge, the intellectual growth of students, and the essential preparation for a chosen career. And most important, the free inquiry after truth. The university is St. John's.
Jerry, a great way to end last season. Happy faces, beautiful trophies, and now this season underway.
Well, we at Apple Bank are looking forward to the coming season as well, Barry. Based on the response that we got from people who came into our branches this past season, telling us that how pleased they were we were sponsoring Long Island sports, we're looking forward to another season with the Long Island Sports Network.
Apple Bank for savings. We're good for you.
Back here at Hampton Stadium, Carl Reuter along with Emerson Boozer. We've got 1 minute, 18 seconds to play in the first quarter. Both teams one possession, but both teams have scored touchdowns. The only difference, Mineola kicked their extra point, and it's a 7-6 game. Mineola on top. So kicking off will be Cold Spring Harbor, and this is Chris Bentley. The man you want, or the man that the Mineola club wants to get the ball, is McDonald, but they kick it to the other side. And Acosta will let it bounce, picks it up, well, has trouble picking it up. This is Acosta, he'll run it upfield, tries to go up the middle, but he's stopped there at about the 25-yard line. 1st and 10 for Mineola at the 25-yard line. And while we have a moment, We'll get a look at the touchdown that was just scored by Callahan on the 1-yard run, Em.
This is just a power play. Watch the offensive lineman get off the mark here, and Callahan goes over the top for the 6-pointer. At that point, we were tied at 6 apiece, but on the attempt, as we'll see here, for the 2-point conversion, the Big Red was able to hold Cold Spring Harbor. This is the touchdown run again, a different angle, as Callahan goes over the top.
Right over the top, and that was 14 plays, 55 yards, the score 7-6, and we've got 45 seconds to go in this first quarter. Truman is the quarterback for Mineola, and the man in motion there was Rich Weilat, the tight end. Back to pass. He's got Weilat, the big guy, wide open, down to about the 38-yard line. A big pickup for a first down. So Truman showing a little bit of strong arm here, hitting his big tight end for a big gain. Rich Weilat, 6'1", 205-pound junior. He did not play last year. And I guess his only weakness is the coach said no experience.
Well, that'll keep you from playing sometimes, but usually when you want to throw the football, you go to the guys that have the good hands, and Rich Weilat is one of those guys.
17-yard gain on that pass play. First down and 10, 20 seconds to go in the quarter. In fact, the last time Weilat played football was in 7th grade. Here's the pitch to McDonald. McDonald gets inside for about 2 or 3 yards before he stopped there by number 60, defensive tackle Tim Miller. And getting off the ground from the bottom was number 62, John Knapp, the defensive end and co-captain.
Knapp is a steady ball player. He's a very sound player, and very seldom will give you that mistake, as you just saw in the tackle there. He made sure he wrapped up McDonald and to hold him to 2-yard gain.
Well, Mineola came out of the huddle. The clock shows no time left, and I guess the referees right now are going to mark it off, and they'll switch sides. So obviously that is the end of the first quarter with Mineola on top by a score of 7-6. We saw the touchdown runs by both teams, and we'll come back for the start of quarter number 2 following this timeout. You're watching high school football on Cablevision.
I never ran before I came to Adelphi. Now I can't imagine not doing it. It really helps having the kind of encouragement I've gotten here. It makes Adelphi feel like a small college. But I'm glad it's a big university with lots of courses and career options, because I'm making choices that will affect my whole life. I'm excited about my future. In fact, sometimes I can't wait to graduate. It's sort of like running. Once you get started, you want to see how far you can go.
Adelphi University, where the advantages of a major university and a small college meet.
They're coming to Genovese. Genovese is now installing IBM computers for your prescription care. It's the GenCare Pharmacy computer system. Now at Genovese, your prescription history can be stored in the computer for your convenience, so the pharmacist can check your file on the computer. This helps your Genovese pharmacist see your prescription profile and allergies. The GenCare Pharmacy computer system. Now at Genovese, a real drugstore.
I'm Barry Landers with Jerry McDougall, president of Apple Bank. Jerry, our second season underway, and we're just delighted to have Apple Bank back as our major sponsor.
And we're delighted to be back, Barry. We regard it as an important community effort to back Long Island's youth because, after all, they're our future here on Long Island. And we're delighted to participate with the Long Island Sports Network.
And we're happy to have you back as well.
Apple Bank for savings. We're good for you.
Carl Reuter, Emerson Boozer back here at Hampton Stadium for quarter number 2. Mineola on top by a score of 7-6. Mineola in possession of the football right now. They have a 2nd down and 7. The lone setback in the backfield is McDonald. Calling out signals is the quarterback, Bob Truman. Truman once again looking to pass, looking to the side here, and he looked for Cesny, and he had Cesny on his mind the whole time, but he had Casey coming over the middle, and he didn't see him. And that's part of the problem in high school. They pick out one receiver and they say, I'm going to him no matter what.
That's right. That's part of the learning process. He wanted to go to Cesny when he had Casey coming across in a post pattern open, but usually it's drawn up that way by the coaches. They want this particular guy hit in this situation, and that time he stays strictly with Cesny.
Well, Cesny, the all-county quarterback last year, caught a 10-yard touchdown pass in last week's loss. And in motion to the tight end, Weilat. He's moving to the left side. The inside handoff now. Fake to the big guy Cagliari, but McDonald carries for about 4 yards. And a little razzle-dazzle there, man in motion. They faked the inside handoff and went to McDonald, the bread and butter man. Get another look at McDonald's run, and we'll see it from the end zone.
Watch it again. You see the guards and the linemen coming across trying to give this guy some running room. And who comes up with the tackle but number 62, John Knapp.
So it'll be 4th down and 2 from the 47. And this will be back to punt for Mineola is Cesny, and he's got some good hang time on this one. That's Timmy Barnes, the lone safety. Going to let it roll, and Mineola's going to trap them deep in the territory of Cold Spring Harbor, down at about the 3-yard line. So Barnes gambled, let it roll, and they covered that punt, and it'll be 1st and 10 from about the 3-yard line from Cold Spring Harbor.
I don't think it was much of a gamble there, Carl. Once the ball is inside at the 10 or inside the 10, you usually let it bounce, and hopefully it will go into the end zone. But it took the right bounce for Mineola by not getting legs going into the end zone.
Well, he's only an average punter from the coaching staff, what they say, but he's got good hang time, and I guess you can get away with a few yards if you have the hang time him and you let you guys get down the field.
That's exactly what happened there. As Timmy Barnes waited for the ball to come down, it allowed the Mineola punt coverers to get down on the return, and there was no return.
1st and 10 for the Seahawks from the 4-yard line, and the quarterback there is David Shum. They have 96 yards to go. Now the handoff for a couple, maybe 2 or 3, and it looked like Kammer had the carry on that play. So Mineola, tackle made by Peter Winter. Mineola has a long way to go now.
Yes, and this is the time you get your linemen to just tighten those chin straps up pretty good, and let's see how far we can go. They've got roughly 97 yards to go at this point, 95.
All right, 2nd down and 8 for the Seahawks. David Shum, the quarterback, 6'4", 180-pound junior. The give is to Barnes, trying to get to the outside, but tackled hard there by number 20, Steve Detria, who really came on and made a good stop.
Good tackle by Detria as he got to the corner just before.
Wait a minute, Em. Wait a minute.
Timmy Barnes was there.
What is that?
Barry is headed out to St. Louis.
So why don't they? Why didn't you should have put my name on that before the game.
See, I didn't print that sign.
All right, Em. We'll wait till next week when I leave your name off. That's all. All right, Cold Spring Harbor now. 3rd down and 8 from the 6-yard line. The handoff, and he stopped cold. Number 22, Kammer. And brought down there by Mark Cagliari, 5'10", 195-pound junior. We've been calling Cagliari's name out very often in the early going here, and a good linebacker, and he's in on most of the stops.
Thus far, he's come up with some key stops, and he's the kind of guy. Those 2 linebackers, Winter and Cagliari, they do a fine job for Mineola.
Well, Chris Bentley will come in and do some punting. You'll see number 5, Danny Acosta, is one back in the safety position, and the other one is McDonald. And of course, you would want to get the ball to McDonald. And of course, the kick comes to Acosta. So Acosta's got the ball. He's got running room ahead of steam, and it's down to about the 30-yard line. Gained about 10 yards on that punt. Not a bad punt by Bentley, under pressure from his own end zone.
That was a good return by Detri. Moved the ball up, got the ball right around the full 40-yard line or 37, and was able to pick up a good 7 or 8 yards, put your team in good field position.
Well, Mineola already leading in the game by a score of 7-6, and while we have this opportunity, I'd like to tell you that this copyrighted telecast is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of Cablevision is prohibited. So it's 1st and 10 for Mineola. There's 8:50 to go in this 2nd quarter. Man in motion is Weiler. This is the Truman on the pitch to Cagliari, big fullback. Gets about 2 yards down to about the 33-yard line. Pick up about 2 or 3, so it'll be 2nd down and 8. And there goes Barry, Em. Wave goodbye. There he is. He's in St. Louis on his way. And I see Barry. Yeah, you see he's waving to you, Em. Now you got Al Wideline over here who's going to call timeout and see if they could set up something. Maybe he discovered something that he didn't like on that last exchange between Truman and Cagliari.
Certainly, he wants to straighten his troops out at this point because to call a timeout in this position, he wants to make sure they are aware and understand what they're about to do.
Well, you see Wideline, he's in there talking to his troops, and they're going to straighten things out. And while we have this opportunity, we're going to take a break. So the score, Mineola 7 and Cold Spring Harbor 6. You're watching high school football on Cablevision.
Genovese gives senior citizens a 10% discount on prescriptions. And now they give a 10% discount on my grandchild's prescriptions, too.
That's right. Genovese gives a 10% discount on prescriptions for junior and senior citizens. Any prescription for a child, thank you, under 6 will be filled at Genovese. No forms to fill out. A prescription is all you need.
Now Genovese helps juniors and seniors.
Genovese, a real drugstore.
The university, locus for clear and consistent thinking, the appreciation of our cultural heritage, the advancement of knowledge, the intellectual growth of students, and the essential preparation for a chosen career. And most important, the free inquiry after truth. The university is St. John's.
Back here at Hampton Stadium, I'm Carl Reuter along with Emerson Boozer. And Mineola in control of the football. 2nd down and 7 from about the 33-yard line. They lead in the game over the Seahawks of Cold Spring Harbor, 7-6. Both teams scoring on their first drives. First time they touch the ball. This is Truman looking for the big guy Acosta. He's got him down to the 10, inside the 10, down to about the 7. A strong throw by Truman to Acosta. And Acosta wide open, gathered the football in, found some running room, and gained an extra 6 or 7 yards inside the 10-yard line.
This was just a good-looking play from number 21, Bob Truman, to number 5, Dan Acosta. He gets outside, makes a nice catch, and he beats a pretty fair ball player, too. And making this reception, he beats Timmy Barnes.
Timmy Barnes back there, the best athlete on the club. They came out of the shotgun on that last situation. Maybe that's what they talked about during the timeout. Now here's the pitch. This is McDonald looking for running room. He breaks one tackle, but he's held up there pretty well, and maybe a yard at the most. And they read that pretty well, that Cold Spring Harbor defense, and they stopped McDonald cold.
The Seahawks had that thing well diagnosed. They fought off the corner, not allowing McDonald to get to the outside, and they just got stiff. And this is when the real estate does get tough down in this area.
Well, we've got 7.5 minutes to go in this first half. Mineola on top by a score of 7-6. Get a look at their offensive unit. And Danny Acosta coming into the game with a play, and going out will be McDonald. And see what Acosta brings in. There he is, Mr. McDonald going off. You saw the graphic on him. He's having a big game so far.
What do you say we're going to throw the ball here?
Well, let's see what happens. You see the a flag down on the play, so and you're smiling, you're laughing. Did you catch something there on that formation?
Yes, you did. You know, if you're going to run the football, you don't take a number 30 out of the ball game, Mike McDonald, if you're not going to run the football.
Well, you picked that up, and they've got a delay of game, and you see McDonald coming back into the game. 5-yard penalty against Mineola. Acosta going out. So they'll be pushed back 5 yards, and it'll be 2nd and goal from the 11-yard line. Just under 7 minutes to go in this first half. And you see the shot there. You see the second setback. That's McDonald, number 30. They like to give him the ball. Back to pass. This is Truman looking over the middle. Couldn't hit the big tight end Weilert. Had the man open, but a little bit overthrown. And Rich Weilert couldn't handle it and bring it in.
I don't think Weilert had himself under control because the ball was thrown a bit high, but Weilert is 6'1", good height to him. It's sometimes you got to get off the ground to get that ball. I noticed something different about, not really different, but watching Mike McDonald in the I formation, he's setting a good 10 yards away from center, and that's kind of unusual. He's giving away roughly 3 more yards than the average deep back would give up.
3rd and goal from the 11-yard line, and there you see McDonald. Now he's in motion. Cesny also in motion, coming to the far side. Truman looking to roll out and pass, but he dumps it off to Cesny. Just got it away, but the play is brought down there by number 60, and that is Timmy Miller. A lot of confusion. He didn't want to take the sack, Truman, but he saw Cesny sneaking in there, could sort of give a little lateral, but then all of a sudden the defense brought him down, and Timmy Miller right on top of the play. And really a broken offensive play by Mineola. And plus, there's a penalty. It was illegal motion. It's declined. You get a look there at the referee, Ron Winchester. So Mineola now 4th and goal, and they've got a way to get into the end zone.
Penalty rightfully declined because it was 3rd and roughly 6 at that point, and to decline the penalty makes it 4th and about 20.
It is 4th down and 20. And let's see what Mineola does with the football. Obviously, they'll go. I don't think they would attempt a field goal. And this is Truman. You see Cataliotti, and McDonald's not in the game, so let's look for a pass. And timeout by the Mustangs. So utilizing all of their timeouts here in the first half. And Al Wideline will come back onto the field. There you see Truman walking off to the sidelines. And he'll talk with the coaching staff unless he's taken out. And yeah, he's out of the game. I don't know what they'll call here then, 4th down and 20, unless they're going to try to attempt it.
They might be going to try it to attempt for the long field goal. I think for correction, I called 4th and 20. It's 4th at the 4th down at the 20-yard line, so it's 20 to go for a touchdown. That's what I meant.
Well, we'll see. Jim Daugherty can hit from some 40 yards out, and the wind is behind him. You see the flag blowing in his direction, so maybe Daugherty will try this field goal. And something that you really don't see too often in high school football is attempted field goals.
Yeah, this will be, if he attempts here, would be roughly about a 37-yard attempt.
So let's see what kind of foot Daugherty does have. And he's a big man right now, soccer style. The holder is Cesny. Let's see if they get the kick off. He does get it off. Daugherty with a strong boot, but I believe it's good. It is good. From this angle, it looked wide to the right, but Daugherty does hit on the 37-yard field goal. So Al Wideline looking like a genius right now. He had the man with a leg, and he was able to put it through the uprights. You like that, Em, don't you? Let's get another look. And you see Daugherty getting congratulations.
You should see the smile on Coach Wideline's face. We watch again as Daugherty gets the ball inside, almost right down dead center. A good long 37-yard, a lot of height to it, but you should have seen the grin on Coach Wideline's face.
And there's the man of the hour right now, Daugherty, connecting from 37, putting his club up on top by a score of 10-6. From this vantage point, I was ready to call it wide, but of course you saw on the replay there that it was perfect, and there was a lot of distance. He might have hit from a good 40, 45 yards on that
I
kick.
think he could have hit certainly at 40 or 45 out with the kind of height and carry the ball had on that 37-yarder.
All right, so Peter Schweibert, Timmy Barnes, and Scott Whalehan will be back to receive the kickoff, but the ball blew off the tee, getting a little bit windy in evidence of that last kick that we saw, and Daugherty will do the kicking off. So Mineola on top by a score of 10-6, and he puts his foot into the ball. Comes to the far side of the field. That's Schweibert. Schweibert with some running room. Comes to the near side, and he's tackled there, brought down by number 5, Danny Acosta. Nice run back, and they'll take over 1st and 10, Cold Spring Harbor, trailing by 4 points with about just a little over 6 minutes to play here in the first half.
Also good field position as Schweibert brings it back up to roughly the 40-yard line, would you say, Carl, or 35-yard line?
35-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Seahawks. Remember, Dave Shum is the quarterback. He doesn't throw. He'll throw maybe just 5 or 6 times a game, but their game is basically the unbalanced offense, that wing tee. You see now Shum, of course, he goes back to pass, and looking for number 21, tipped by Acosta. Nice play. He was looking for number 21, Matt Leonard, a 6'1", 165-pound senior. He's got good hands, and he blocks very well. At this time, he couldn't come in and make the grass because Acosta got back there and made a fine defensive play.
Yes, the ball was somewhat tipped, and the ball was underthrown by Shum. As you watch again, Shum gets back, sets up in good, fine fashion. Good protection from his offensive line, but throws it just a wee bit short. And mind you, too, that he's throwing into the wind quite a bit. Not a very strong wind, but into the wind.
Talked about that line, Hendrick, Rasteri, Tewksbury, and all the others. This is Barnes coming to the near side, got some running room, and brought down out of bounds there by number 20, Steve Detria. And Scott Cesny was in on the tackle. And there you see Detria, number 20, walking back to the defensive huddle. So Barnes trying to get to the outside, didn't have that running room because he was cut off by the play of Cesny, bringing him down on the tackle and Detria.
He didn't get the corner completely, but he got it enough to turn upfield to possibly pick up the 1st down. It's going to be very close. That was a 10-yard run.
Well, we have an official timeout. They're going to measure right now. It's just over the 45-yard line, but started to talk about that offensive line for Cold Spring Harbor. They live and die by it, and Mike Hendrick and Larry Resteri, Doug Tewksbury, John Knapp, Timmy Miller, and that big tight end, Joe Costello.
They are guys that can block. They don't come in hulking size as you would like to think football players always do, but you take Costello at 180, roughly 180, Miller 195, 200 pounds somewhere there, and Resteri somewhere in the 200-pound area. Tewksbury probably the smallest in that group.
Timmy Barnes, thus far in the game, 8 carries, 38 yards, and it'll be 1st and 10 from the 45-yard line for the Seahawks, so they start to drive again now. And they've trailed in the game by a score of 10-6. A touchdown run, and then the field goal we just saw moments ago by Jim Doherty from 37 yards out, upping that 1-point margin to 4. And that's where we stand now. This is Shum. Back to pass. He's got some time. He hits the big tight end, Costello. Brought down at about the 38-yard line, but a flag down in the backfield. And, geez, a flag in the backfield usually means holding. Brought down by Peter Winter, number 77, and the safety, Scott Cesney, number 12.
The flag was thrown very late, and it's going to be either holding on Cold Spring Harbor or holding versus the defense.
So holding on Mineola, and obviously they would take the play because the play was a lot more than the penalty would give them. Let's take another look and see Shum hitting the big tight end, Costello.
Whatever the infraction might be comes very late. There it is right there, I would say. Would be the holding penalty on number 77, I'd say. On Peter Winter, as the tight end crossed in front of him. I think they kind of hooked or locked horns a bit.
Well, it is 1st and 10. There's 5:16 to play in the game. 1st and 10 from the 39-yard line of Mineola, and they lead, you see the graphic, 10-6. Both teams are sustaining nice drives thus far in the game.
Seahawks on the move, Carl.
Here they come, the unbalanced backfield, that wing T. There's the give. This is the big guy, Callahan, and he busts up the middle for about 5 or 6 yards. Short yardage situation brought down by number 30, Mike McDonald, the big guy picking up some good yardage. And now checking into the game is number 20, Scott Whalahan, and coming out is Chris Callahan, 5'11", 210-pound senior. And he has had himself quite an afternoon thus far with that touchdown run earlier in the game. It's 2nd down and 4 from the 34. And they'll line up once again. This time it's the pro set. This is Shum. The handoff goes to number 23, Timmy Barnes. Gets about 2 on the play. And in on the stop again, coming up from that cornerback position was Mike McDonald, 5'10", 170-pound senior, a man who could do it all.
And Mike was up there awfully quick, and when the defensive halfbacks start to read and react that quickly, you want to be a little bit careful because some of the better clubs will pump that thing in there, fake it in there, and then up you go with the big sixer in your area.
Noticing on the sidelines that number 21, Matt Leonard, the wide receiver for Cold Spring Harbor, trying to walk off what looks to be maybe a sprained ankle. And he doesn't seem to be in that much pain, but nevertheless trying to walk it off. So it's going to be down here, 3rd down and
1-minute warning has been given to both
and 3. 3rd down and 3 from the 33, and that was the look at Coach Queso, and he's got a concerned look on his face. Even though the club is moving the football, he'd like to see him vault over the top and get a lead. Here's the pitch. This is Barnes. Barnes trying to cut back. Gets about 4 or 5 yards. Cataliotti and John Enterman in on the tackle for Mineola. So the give is to Barnes, and you win with Barnes, I guess you lose with Barnes, and they're going to go with that bread and butter guy.
Missed the 1st down, and Barnes just picked up another 1st down in this drive. He's accounted for at least 2 of the 1st downs in this drive.
Tell you, the script couldn't have been written any better by either one of these coaches. They're doing exactly what they said they were going to do.
Both of these guys are no-nonsense type coaches, and they're not going to lead you astray.
This is the give to Barnes. Got a big hole, closed up fast, fumble, and Mineola has the football. It was a hole that opened up, and you could have drove a truck through it. And Barnes tried to get through, but got hit, fumbled the football, and Mineola thwarts the drive, recovering the fumble, number 77. Peter Winter, 5'9", 160-pound senior.
Let's see what happens in our replay. Big play here for the Big Red, and coming up with this fumble, as we see Timmy Barnes takes the inside handoff on a draw. He gets hit, hand reaches in. I couldn't see exactly who did it, but one of the down linemen reaches over. Looks to be John Wilson, the nose guard. Reached inside, knocked the ball loose, and big break for the Big Red.
Well, the Big Red bring the ball back up to the line of scrimmage. This is Bob Truman. He's got that setback. McDonald, you'll hear his name all afternoon. Truman barking out the signals. He's back to pass. Sets up nicely over the middle. He's got Cesny, but threw short. Had Cesny wide open at about the 50-yard line, but just plain couldn't reach him on that last aerial.
No, I think Truman has the arm for it, but he's not accustomed to throwing that much under game conditions, and just threw a little bit too short. Watching him in warm-up, he had plenty of arm, but on that one, he just didn't do it.
Well, when you have people like John Knapp, Larry Risteri, Tim Miller, and Mike Hendrick on the defensive line, pressure is about to come one time or another in the game. 2nd down and 10 from the 25.
Yeah, that pressure like that makes a strong arm becomes a little bit weaker.
All right, so Truman brings his troops back up to the line of scrimmage and see what they have there. He's going to give it to the second back is McDonald, and brought down for probably a loss of about 3 or 4. They didn't go to the fake to Cagliari, and the defense read it, and they got McDonald trapped in the backfield.
And these two guys have been going head-to-head all day. As we watch again in our replay, you'll watch number 30, McDonald, gets out, and watch who gets him. The leading ball carrier for Cold Spring Harbor, number 23, playing the linebacker slot, Timmy Barnes.
Well, all league last year, the senior co-captain, best athlete on the team. He runs the ball, and unfortunately, he just fumbled, and that's why Mineola is trying to gear it up and drive towards another 6-pointer, or possibly the leg of Jim Doherty once again, as he booted a 37-yarder before, moments ago. And this is Truman rolling out, being pressured, throws, but it would have been a trap ball anyway. Great diving effort there by number 5, Danny Acosta, getting pressure by number 23, Timmy Barnes, and number 71, Larry Risteri, making him throw the ball sooner than he wanted to.
These guys have done an outstanding job. Hendricks, Miller, and Risteri, Knapp, down 4 linemen for Cold Spring Harbor, and the linebacking core has been very good.
So back to punt is number 12, Scott Cesny. And the last time he punted, he had some good hang time. They let the ball bounce. They trapped it at about the 2. Get another good high end-over-end kick. Timmy Barnes taking it. Might have lost it in the sun. I don't think he touched it. And they will down it. Mineola at the 25-yard line. Could have been very costly by Tim Barnes.
That was very close to being touched. I think Tim Barnes lost it in the sun, and at the last minute he made a very wise decision to clear hands and body totally away from the football.
So Cold Spring Harbor will try to get it on the board before the end of the first half, which has 1 minute and 53 seconds to go. And we'll switch ends, and we'll bring the Mineola defense on and the Cold Spring Harbor offense, led by David Shum, number 12, the quarterback. We've talked about him throughout the game. Big, tall guy. But for someone who's 6'4", when you're a big guy like that and you have a running offense, it doesn't matter how tall you are if you're not going to throw the ball. Now this is the reverse. That's Yashewski trying to throw, and he throws it to a crowd of people, only red jerseys there. Mike McDonald and Scott Cesny were looking for the interception. They were trying to hit number 90, Joe Costello, the big tight end, but Yashewski's pass never got to Costello.
Yashewski was about to be blindsided, and he just got the ball off. His arm might have been hit as he started to release the football downfield.
So it is going to be 2nd down and 10 from the 25-yard line of Cold Spring Harbor. They've got 75 yards to go in about 1.5 minutes, 1 minute and 28 to be exact. And Shum leads them up. Shum once again back to pass, looking over the middle, knocked down there by number 77, the linebacker Peter Winter. Not actually knocked down, he almost come up with the interception on that last play. So Mineola defense coming up big, but Cold Spring Harbor, they were only known to throw the ball 5 or 6 times. He's thrown maybe that amount of times already, and we're still in the first half.
Well, I think with time running out just before half, Coach Queso wants to move the ball down as hurriedly as possibly can to try to take the lead here, being down only by 4 points. I don't think there's any time to rush.
So it's going to be 3rd down and 10 from the 25-yard line. Now this is Yashewski again on the reverse, trying to get outside on the far side, has some running room, but finally brought down at about the 31-yard line. and brought down there by number 21, Bob Truman, from his defensive end position, coming up and making the tackle.
The reverse read very well by Truman. He was being blocked on the far side. I think it might have been what you might call offside blocking a little bit too soon, allowing Truman to smell something coming back his way. He fought it off, was able to get outside and make the tackle.
So it's going to be 4th down and 10 from the 25 and back to punt. I should say 4th down and 4. And back to punt is number 34, Mr. Bentley. And he's got a nice kick spiral coming down. This is Acosta taking it on the run, and he downs it at about the 42-yard line. That could have been dangerous, too. He was looking to get the ball and run before he actually caught it, and he could have fumbled right here at midfield. Could have been costly. And Mineola will take over. 1st down and 10 yards to go.
I think Acosta had called for a fair catch at that point. And, but even in calling a fair catch, if you drop the football, it is free.
And that's, of course, what the Cold Spring Harbor defense was looking for as they came charging down the field. So, 20 seconds to go in this first half. I really doubt that anything but maybe just a quarterback dropping down to the ground. You see the stats, 4 of 8 for 46 yards thus far in the game for Truman. Clock dwindling down. 1st and 10 from the 41. 10 seconds to go in the half. There's the gift to McDonald. He's got about 5 yards, and he stopped there. Very surprised that they even gave the ball up with time running down here in the half, and the referee's now blowing the whistle. And I believe that is the conclusion here of half number 1, with Mineola on top by a score of 10-6.
Very close ball game. 2 quarters of a good football, both teams running and throwing the football much more than we expected. And the Big Red of Mineola leading only by 4 points, 6-10.
Okay, so Mineola on top by a score of 10-6. Stick around. We've got some halftime activities for you. So once again, we'll take this commercial timeout. You're watching high school football on Cablevision.
Jerry, here's a free pass to our next game.
Thanks, Barry, and here's something free for you, a free Apple Bank checking account.
Free?
Absolutely free. No monthly maintenance charges, no per check charges, nothing.
I can write all the checks I want at no cost?
The only charge you'll get is out of Apple Bank's fine service. And we'll pay you 5.25% interest on balances of $700 or more.
Apple Bank for savings. We're good for you.
It really helps having the kind of encouragement I've gotten here. It makes Adelphi feel like a small college. But I'm glad it's a big university with lots of courses and career options, because I'm making choices that will affect my whole life. I'm excited about my future. In fact, sometimes I can't wait to graduate. It's sort of like running. Once you get started, you want to see how far you can go.
Adelphi University, where the advantages of a major university and a small college meet.
At Genovese, our prescription policy is care. Care for young Tommy, who's allergic to anything with penicillin in it. Right, Tommy?
Right.
So Genovese is installing this new GenCare pharmacy computer system. See? The computer shows Tommy's prescription profile and his allergy. The GenCare pharmacy computer system provides prescription profile records for you and your family. At Genovese, we care about you. Genovese, a real drugstore.
Back here at Hampton Stadium, I'm Carl Reuter along with Bill Piner, the Cold Spring Harbor Athletic Director and the Section 8 Football Coordinator. And Bill, I guess we're here today to really talk about something that a lot of people hear about, but maybe they don't know that much about it. That's the power rating system. What actually is the power rating system?
Well, the Section 8 point system is a point system that was devised 2 years ago. It's a product of the new realignment in Nassau County. It was devised by Roy Kessenich, the head football coach at Oceanside. Basically, what the point system is, it's a way of evaluating teams within a conference when every team in that conference doesn't play the same schedule. All teams do not play each other. So it's an equitable way of mathematically figuring out which teams should be in the top 4 at the end of the season.
All right, now, obviously, before the season, there is a meeting that the coaches gather at, and they discuss the certain seedings.
That's correct. It's held every spring, and the coaches within a conference sit down, and each coach gets an opportunity to discuss his team and say why his team should be seated higher, lower, or where he was seated at the end of the last season.
All right, well, now that we've got, I guess, the basics, some preliminary things, how is it actually figured out?
Well, the way it's figured out is first you have to figure out a team's own winning percentage, all right? So after you've figured out all the winning percentages of each team, then you figure in the winning percentages of all the teams that you beat, and they're added to yours. Then you subtract the losing percentage of all the teams that you lost to. So your points are basically based on your own record and the record of all the teams that you played.
It's not as complicated as it really sounds then.
It really isn't. And it's very fair and very equitable. And it's really created a lot of interest and excitement in Nassau County. And the coaches and all the people associated with football are very pleased with the way it's worked out so far.
Well, let's take a look at something that we have here. Like, as for instance, in Conference 4 play right now, you see Cold Spring Harbor is 3-1. Valley Stream North is also 3-1, but Valley Stream North is on the bottom of the pack, even though two clubs with 2 losses are ahead of them.
That's correct, and the purist would really find a great deal of difficulty with that. And of course you would be upset about that if every team was playing each other within a conference. But because teams are not playing the same teams, actually their records are of a different value. For example, Valley Stream North's, the victories that Valley Stream North has include, I think, North Shore, Floral Park, and Manhasset. And between those 3 teams, I think you only have a total of 1 or 2 victories. In Cold Spring Harbor's case, our 3 wins come against teams that have much better records than the teams that North beat.
What about, you know, now let's get into it a little bit with the examples of certain percentages and how it's actually accumulated the points.
In other words, you want me to go over?
In other words, now that we have, like, if a team is won 3 out of 4, now they have a 75% chance, winning percentage, and then all of a sudden we add up and subtract, and that's how you come up with the numbers.
That's correct. That's correct. It's really not completely, you can't totally get the picture of what's going to happen at the end of the season, of course, until the season's over, because you have to really wait and see until how every team that you play did at the end of the season to really figure it out. I think one of the beauties of it is that you have to not only be interested in the team that you're playing that week, but you're also interested in how every team on your schedule has done in a given week.
All right, for instance, Cold Spring Harbor 3-1, a winning percentage, and then they beat North Shore, Oyster Bay, and East Rockaway, and that's how they come up with 17.7, and that's their percentage, and you would add 100 points to that towards the end of the year.
That's correct. If you look at it as it is right on the paper, you got Cold Spring Harbor's winning percentage, 7.5. North Shore, that's an interesting part of the point system. We get a 0.2 for North Shore, and North Shore doesn't have a win. The reason for that is that that was figured in terms to help you out with a situation where you beat a team that doesn't have a victory. You still played a game, there was still the opportunity for injuries, so we figured in a 0.2 rating for that team, even though they didn't win.
Bill, I know that we don't have that much time to explain it. Hopefully people got into it a little bit more involved, and maybe we'll be able to explain it in detail at a later date, but I thank you for coming by here and getting the preliminaries discussed with us.
Thanks very much, Carl. Appreciate it.
Bill Piner has been my guest, the Section 8 football coordinator here in Nassau County and Cold Spring Harbor athletic director. We'll be back with more halftime activities following this timeout. You're watching high school football on Cablevision. Jerry, a great way to end last season. Happy faces, beautiful trophies, and now this season underway.
Well, we at Apple Bank are looking forward to the coming season as well, Barry. Based on the response that we got from people who came into our branches this past season telling us that how pleased they were we were sponsoring Long Island sports, we're looking forward to another season with the Long Island Sports Network.
Apple Bank for savings. We're good for you.
The party's over. All over one for the road. All over for the 25,000 Americans who die each year as the result of drivers who drink. Drivers who don't realize how little it takes to turn the average social drinker into a tragedy. So please take this advice from this station and the members of the New York State Bar Association. When in doubt, don't start out.
It's a missile exercise in the Caribbean.
Fire. Birds away.
It's port of call, Hong Kong.
Let go of the anchor. Liberty call now, Liberty call.
Most jobs promise you the world. The Navy delivers. See your recruiter. Navy. It's not just a job. It's an adventure.
Yeah, Pat. Frank Vitale back here at Hampton Stadium. Mineola leads Cold Spring Harbor 10-6. A lot of people are excited in Mineola about their football team, but a lot of people are also excited about, in June of 1985, Newsday presented Mineola High School with the Long Island High School of the Year Award for Community Service. And with us today is the proud principal of Mineola High School, Paul Flanzer. Paul, congratulations are in order.
Thank you very much, Frank, and indeed we are proud.
Paul, just what is this High School of the Year Award, and how did Mineola High School win it?
It reflects competition between all of the public, parochial, and private high schools in Nassau and Suffolk County. And we think that's a marvelous award. And I believe that the award was because of the responsiveness of our staff and also a community and a student body that cares.
Okay, Paul, thank you. And on my right is the athletic director of Mineola High School, Andy Herman. And Andy, good game going on so far here, 10-6. Mike McDonald running well once again.
Real exciting football game, and I would think that the second half should be even more exciting.
Right. And Andy, today is Youth Day over here at Hampton Stadium for Mineola High School. Just what is Youth Day, and how did it come about?
Well, we have a lot of involved community members that work in a number of organizations, the MAA and PBC, and so we decided to have a day where any kid who came wearing their team uniform, their team shirt for their team, would be allowed in for free, and if they came with an adult, we'd allow the accompanying adult in for free, since these are our future athletes.
Are any other like Youth Day type programs for other sports like baseball, any of the other sports at Mineola High School?
Well, we have a winter night called Be Proud Night, which gives all the kids all over the community in the elementary schools a chance to come and see 2 athletic events in the evening. And last year we sold over 800 tickets for that, so that was a real exciting evening, and that's planned again for this year.
And how do the community athletic programs, how do they affect Mineola High School? It sort of prepares the youngsters for when they get to high school level for either whatever sport they're playing. How does it prepare them? How do the high school and the community work back and forth in the athletic department?
Well, I personally feel now that athletics has gotten so sophisticated that kids have to start to specialize and play a lot of sports, but they got to start young. Athletics are very sophisticated, and we have a number of great community programs, and you can almost keep track of the better high school teams directly relate to the better community programs. We have outstanding girls softball at our high school level, and we have a great PBC program for girls softball at the youth level that runs in the summer, and that sort of works right through in almost every sport. So the community involvement in athletics and the youth programs are vital for a successful athletic program.
And I'm sure the academic standards, the students must reach those here at Mineola High School if they want to play sports.
Well, we have a rather unique academic policy in that if a kid is doing badly in school, we don't suspend them or take them off of the team. The only requirement that the athlete has if he's doing poorly is to do something to remedy the situation. And he's got to present proof to either me or one of the coaches that he's going for extra help, making sure that he's doing his homework or she's doing her homework. So we felt rather than take them off the team and penalize them, what we would do is just make sure that they did something to help the situation and pass the subject. And it's been real successful over the last year.
Okay, Andy Herman, the athletic director of Mineola High School, and Paul Flanzer, the proud principal of Mineola High School, being named High School of the Year for community service. Best of luck in '86. Maybe you'll repeat that.
Thank you. We're going to try, Frank.
Okay. Frank Vitale here. You're watching Cablevision's Long Island Sports Network. We'll be back with the second half kickoff right after this.
Gives senior citizens a 10% discount on prescriptions. And now they give a 10% discount on my grandchild's prescriptions too.
That's right, Genovese gives a 10% discount on prescriptions for junior and senior citizens. Any prescription for a child, under 6 will be filled at Genovese. No forms to fill out. A prescription is all you need.
Now Genovese helps juniors and seniors.
Genovese, a real drugstore.
Miami Dolphin quarterback Dan Marino for Kiwanis International.
Not every young boy is able to fulfill a dream of becoming a National Football League quarterback.
That's why underprivileged children are Kiwanis concern. Take the ball today and help your local Kiwanis club uplift our underprivileged children. Build better lives through involvement in Kiwanis.
The preceding message has been a public service announcement brought to you by your local Kiwanis Club.
Hello, you probably know me by my job, but I have another one of which I'm very proud. I serve as the honorary president of the Boy Scouts of America. Their goals are ones that we all can share. The Boy Scouts develop character, physical fitness, citizenship, and love of country. The Boy Scouts believe in helping others. Maybe that's why they've been around so long. The Boy Scouts are part of America, and I'm proud to be a part of the Boy Scouts of America.
Stadium, Carl Reuter and Emerson Boozer, and then we get a first look at the first touchdown of the game, Mike McDonald of Mineola.
A nice move there, as you saw, number 30, Mike McDonald weave his way for an 11-yard TD, finally breaking the last tackle on the outside, getting past number 20, Scott Wilhan.
And that made it 7-0 after the point after, and then this is Callahan making it 7-6.
Just a piece over the top, the big fullback for the Seahawks clears his line, and at that point we had a 6-7 ball game because Cold Spring went for the 2 extra points, failing, and trailed 6-7 at that point.
And then Doherty, of course, adding the 37-yard field goal, and that made it a score of 10-6. And this is Doherty, number 11, who is going to do the kicking off. Mineola will kick off and defend the goal to our left in this third quarter of play. And back to receive will be number 25. That's Schweibert. He gets the football. He's at about the 25 to the 30, across the 30, still on his feet, and brought down at about the 32-yard line. Nice run back by Schweibert, getting the football. Obviously, the man that you want to have the ball is Timmy Barnes, but Schweibert there, you get a look at his numbers, made a fine run back. 1st and 10 right now for Cold Spring Harbor as they put the ball into play. So, Cold Spring Harbor's offense, of course, we'll go through some numbers again for you. The quarterback, number 12, David Shum, 6'4", 180-pound junior. They run the unbalanced wing T. Here's the pitch. This is to Cameron, number 22's got some running room. And, in fact, that might be number 23, Timmy Barnes, and it is Barnes getting off the ground. Tim Barnes brought down by Steve Dietria after a pickup of about 3 yards.
Carl, the top rushers of the ball game, number 30, Mike McDonald, has 10 carries for 68 yards, and for Cold Spring Harbor, Tim Barnes, he's 11 for 47.
You like reading stats on running backs, don't you?
Oh, I just love it. I love those defensive linemen, too.
Sure you do, Em. Especially when they're on top, right? And you're on the bottom of that pile.
When they're behind me.
All right, here's the give to Barnes. He gets another 2 or 3 yards as he bucks up the middle there. So it'll be 3rd down. The tackle made by Bob Truman. And first down stats, you see the first down's basically even. Rushing basically even. Passing basically even. Total yards basically even. Penalties, 2 for 10 for Cold Spring Harbor. Mineola, 1 of 5. The turnover didn't hurt anybody on the fumble down here by Timmy Barnes. So even on the scoreboard, just about at 10-6, and even on the all the stats.
The big difference is the long 37-yard field goal.
And we'll have to see if he was drawn off sides.
I think that time Callahan was just a little bit too anxious getting off the mark.
Well, that big guy was anxious getting 210 pounds off the ground as you get a look at the referee, Ron Winchester. And the penalty will be for 5 yards, and they'll walk it off against Cold Spring Harbor on the offsides. So 1st down and 15 from the Seahawk 38-yard line. And we'll see what David Shum can do as he brings his boys up to the line of scrimmage. Just underway here, 10.5 to go, 3rd quarter. Mineola on top by a score of 10-6. This is Shum on the pitch. Barnes to the far side, gets about 5 yards on the play. Brought down by the nose guard, a man we haven't really called his number too often today, John Wilson, number 57.
Also in on the tackle was number 5, Dan Acosta. As we watch again here, Cold Spring Harbor is going on the quick count out to Timmy Barnes. And number 5, Dan Acosta, gets a little piece of him early as Barnes bowls over for extra yardage.
So he picked up 5 on that play. It's 2nd down and 9 from the 44-yard line of Cold Spring Harbor. The unbalanced wing T. Here's the pitch. This is number 20. That's well ahead. And he goes absolutely nowhere. In fact, they lose about 3 yards. You see Weiler getting up from the pile, making the tackle. You see John Entenman, number 76. He was in on the stop, and that was a play that went for naught. In fact, minus 3 yards on the carry.
What caused that, Carl, was the pitch by David Shum. The ball was thrown a little bit behind Callahan. He had to adjust his pattern to get a hold of the football. And once he gained control, the Mustang defense had collapsed on him.
So we have a 3rd down and 13 to go from the 40-yard line. Just underway here in the 3rd quarter. This is the first possession for either team here in the 2nd half. This is Shum back to pass, rolling out to his right, looking downfield. Pass broken up nicely by number 77, Peter Winter, the intended receiver, number 90, Joe Costello. But a great play there by Winter, the linebacker.
That was outstanding coverage. Nice depth drop by Peter Winter as we watch watching our replay. Look at number 77, left of your corner. He sees the tight end, Joe Costello, cross his face. Now he hustles back and gets that left hand up to bat the ball away. Outstanding defensive play.
And into punt for Cold Spring Harbor will be number 34, Chris Bentley. Going back, it'll be 2 deep men. We'll have number 5, Danny Acosta, and let's see, who's that? The other man, it should be McDonald, who usually goes back to receive the punt. And kick is not a very good one. In fact, pretty short, maybe about 15 yards, and Mineola is going to get some excellent field position for their first possession of the 3rd quarter.
Keep in mind, too, that in the 3rd quarter here, the Mustangs will have the wind at the back, so if they're going to throw and throw effectively, it has to be here in the 3rd quarter, because in the 4th, it'll belong to Cold Spring Harbor.
So Bob Truman will make his first appearance in the 2nd half as he takes his offense out. His Mike McDonald, look at that, there they are, as Em alluded to before, 10 rushes for 68 yards. It's 1st and 10 from the 44-yard line. McDonald and Cataliotti usually in the backfield. The man in motion, number 12, that's Scott Cesny going to the far side of the field. This is Truman looking for the pitch, decides to hold on to it, and he's brought down very easily by number 71, Larry Risteri, and by number 77, Mike Hendrick, the defensive end.
That was a fine defensive play by the Seahawks. They shut the outside off in a hurry, causing Truman to not pitch the ball out to his tailback, Mike McDonald, and have to take it inside, gaining approximately a half yard.
So Truman with the big fullback behind him, Cataliotti, slot left on this formation. Cesny split out wide to the right. This is Truman back to pass, looking downfield. Got Cesny. Great reception, brought down at about the 34-yard line on the tackle, number 20, Scott Whalahan. And Whalahan a little bit slow getting up, but he made a fine play bringing down Cesny. You get a good look at number 12, who an all-county quarterback last year.
Watch it again as you see Scott Chesney gets outside, works his way over the middle, and took number 20, Scott Wilhan, to bring him down. Nice hit here. Bingo, right on target. And I think Wilhan was a little bit shaken himself by delivering that blow.
Number 80, that's Jim Casey, split wide to the left. Weil at the tight end, also in there. There's the give to McDonald. They read that real well. Brought down by number 33. Chris Callahan read that play well. Did not let McDonald get the running room he was looking for.
Also on the force was number 11, Rich Yashevsky. He helped force the thing inside along with Timmy Barnes.
Well, we talked about Yashevsky. He's one of the 2 sophomores that start. They start 2 softs and 2 juniors on the defensive side of the field. The 2 juniors are DeRiso and Shum. And Schweibert and Yashewski are the sophomores. So it's 2nd and 11 from the 37-yard line for Mineola, looking to punch in some more points as they lead 10-6. You see Cataliotti and Acosta in the backfield. The give is to Acosta. Got some running room and then some. Down to about the 31-yard line. A nice run. Acosta finding a big hole. Blown open there on the offensive line. You got to give credit to Andrecki and Peter Winter and Andy Cunningham making way for Acosta.
Lots of razzle-dazzle in the backfield as number 25, Schubert, finally got him downfield. Watch again on our replay. Watch the ball handling here. Little fake there, giving it back to Acosta. And he's off and running upfield. Number 25, Peter Schweibert, makes the tackle.
3rd down and 4 from the 30-yard line. 6:08 to go here in the 3rd quarter. Mineola on the drive again. This is Truman. There's the pitch to McDonald, looking for running room. Breaks one tackle, and then brought down there by Callahan, number 33. Broke the first tackle by Barnes, but couldn't get around Callahan, the big guy, 210 pounds.
Carl, I think we owe number 11, Rich Yashevsky, an apology. I think the whole first quarter we call him Yashevsky, and we were informed at halftime that it's pronounced Rich Yashevsky.
All right, so we do make the apology to Rich Yashevsky, and we'll continue to call him by his right name.
Okay, Carl.
McDonald going out, and last time we saw that, you said, hey, I wonder if they're going to pass, and the lone running back now is Cataliotti, the big fullback, so let's see. We have Jim Casey split out wide to the left, in motion. This is Acosta. Truman calling out the signals, fakes the handoff to Cataliotti, sets up to throw over the middle. Szczesny, he's got it for 6 points. Scott Szczesny on the reception for 6. The man in motion might have shaken the defense a little. Acosta was in motion. Szczesny right over the middle, and Truman, the big quarterback, found number 12 for 6 points.
You called it, Carl. They were in their passing attack with men in motion. Number 21, Bob Truman, finds his flanker back. Number 12, Scott Szczesny, into the end zone for the touchdown.
So coming in to try the point after will be Jim Doherty, and we know that he's got a nice little leg because he booted the extra point on the first score and then that 37-yard field goal. More importantly, though, right now the score is 16-6, Mineola on top. And this is a big game for them. Remember, they lost last year 38-6 against Cold Spring Harbor in the Conference 4 championship. And they're going to go for the 2-point conversion, but overthrown. Truman could not hit Szczesny in the corner of the end zone. And the score will remain at 16-6. But before we come back and watch the Mineola kickoff, we're going to step out and take a break. With the score, Mineola 16, Cold Spring Harbor 6. You're watching high school football on Cablevision.
Genovese gives senior citizens a 10% discount on prescriptions. And now they give a 10% discount on my grandchild's prescriptions, too.
That's right. Genovese gives a 10% discount on prescriptions for junior and senior citizens. Any prescription for a child, under 6 will be filled at Genovese. No forms to fill out. A prescription is all you need.
Now Genovese helps juniors and seniors.
Genovese, a real drugstore.
The university, locus for clear and consistent thinking, the appreciation of our cultural heritage, the advancement of knowledge, the intellectual growth of students, and the essential preparation for a chosen career. And most important, the free inquiry after truth. The university is St. John's.
Back here at Hampton Stadium, I'm Carl Reuter with Emerson Boozer, and 16-6 Mineola on top. They just completed a 6-play, 56-yard drive, capped off by the 24-yard pass from Truman to Szczesny. In the game, Szczesny 4 receptions and for 52 yards.
We could see that last 24-yard TD pass being set up nicely by Truman as he had Szczesny in motion, coming down, running somewhat of a post or angled to the goalpost, laid it in there beautifully. Nice little run of about 2 or 3 yards by Szczesny into the end zone.
So this is Doherty kicking off. He goes to that far side again. That's Peter Schweibert with the ball. He's received every kickoff thus far. Schweibert coming straight up the middle and crosses the 25 to about the 26 or 27. Oh, correct that, across the 30 to about the 32. So Schweibert, not the man that they really want to get the football, but they did their homework, Mineola, and they're keeping it away from Barnes.
Thus far, Schweibert is doing an outstanding job. Anytime you can bring the football up around the 30-yard line or better, you want to get it outside of the 20. And we got a replay coming up of the touchdown again. Watch Truman as he looks down to his right. There you go, number 12. Szczesny in the middle on somewhat of a post pattern. Makes a couple of moves here, or a move, and he's into the end zone. Big 6-pointer.
Here's the give on the first down play, and that's Barnes getting bumped from just about everybody on the Mineola defense. First man in, though, on the stop was Rich Weiler, 6'1", 205-pound junior. See Mr. Barnes, he is a workhorse. In fact, he last week carried the ball 33 times for 125 yards, and his coach said, and that's Coach Queso, said that he didn't want him carrying the ball that many times. He figured 20 times is enough. 33 is a little bit overworking his fine back.
Well, I think at age 18 or 17, about 17, maybe 18, he can afford to take that ball 35 times.
2nd and 3 from the 34-yard line. Not much happening on that last exchange. So Cold Spring Harbor will try to set it up on 3rd down. And boy, you know, you talk about the games that they played this year. Cold Spring Harbor coming into 3-1. They beat North Shore 28-0. They beat Oyster Bay 26-0. Then they lost to Locust Valley 40-6. Then they beat East Rockaway 14-6. So they come in at 3-1.
I think if I were a coach here, I'd want a measurement. I see the chains are being brought out to the ball at this point because it's very close to having a 1st down.
Well, you see the chains, and there's a great shot there. And you could see on that great shot that it is a 1st down. So it'll be 1st and 10 from the 40-yard line. Cold Spring Harbors. 16-6, they trail in the game, and they're going to have to get something moving here now, Em, because we're down to inside 4 minutes in this 3rd quarter. Game moving very rapidly. The offense, as they came out, looked a little bit confused. We'll have to see what happens on this pitch to Barnes, trying to get outside. Read very nicely by number 14, Rich Weiland. Not much running room, maybe a yard on the play. And also number 76, John Enterman. And coming up is number 77, Peter Winter. Comes up a little bit limping, and Steve Detria also. You get a sideline look. Al Wiedling, the man with the red and white shirt with his back to you, talking to one of his coaches. He's got that clipboard and cradling it there, probably going over every play that he could possibly think about. Smiling, though, with a 10-point lead. Why not? So up to the line of scrimmage is David Shum and company. Shum on the handoff, goes to the bread and butter man. That's Timmy Barnes. There's a flag on the play and a fumble picked up by number 30, McDonald, racing for the end zone. He's going in for 6 points, but let's check out the flag. Mike McDonald in the end zone celebrating with his team, and indications are that I don't know if we'll have to wait for the preliminary indication. They're celebrating, but Cold Spring Harbor's coach Queso down here just clapping his hands. Now, I don't know if he knows what the flag is, I don't know if you know what the flag is.
No, I don't. I'm going to let those guys in those stripes make this decision, or make it clear to us what has happened.
Well, let's get a look at Ron Winchester, the referee. He's about to give and it's holding against the Seahawks. So the touchdown will stand, and a 22-6 lead. McDonald on the fumble recovery. Raced it in, I would guess, from somewhere around 30 yards, and once he was ahead of the field, he saw nothing but daylight.
He's got lots of speed, Mike McDonald, and there was no catching. Also, he had a nice convoy of Mustangs to take him into the end zone.
So the holding penalty is declined. McDonald has scored on a fumble recovery on the defensive side. He also had that opening touchdown, 11-yard run on offense. We heard he could do it all, and he just showed on the defensive side, picking up that fumble, racing in with some good speed. The only question here is whether they go for 1 or 2, and we see Mr. Doherty cranking up his leg, and he probably put this one out onto Jericho Turnpike with the wind that at his back and the strong foot that he has. So a big touchdown, and the second turnover in the game, but this was the first one that was costly. Doherty's got the kick up, and it is right through the uprights, and it is good. 23-6, and Mineola on top.
You know, in talking to the athletic director in this district, Coach athletic director Eddie Herman, he said that most of the colleges that are talking to McDonald, they're talking about using him as a defensive back. We'll take another look here at this TD on the fumble recovery, on the fumble by Timmy Barnes. You'll notice that number 30, Mike McDonald, comes up with a football, and he gets a host of Mustangs to convoy him down to the end zone. There are at least 4 guys there making sure that nobody comes near the ball carrier.
It looked like Peter Winter, number 77, might have made the initial hit, jarring the ball loose. And that's the second time Barnes has fumbled in the game, but this is the first one that really cost them. They're in a hole now at 23-6. A lot of concern on that man's face, and that's Dick Queso, the head coach of Cold Spring Harbor. Doherty to do the kicking off.
I would say both fumbles has cost him, because had he not fumbled on the first one, there's a good possibility they would have gone in to score.
Well, the ball is going to roll and go out of bounds at the 10-yard line, so it'll be kicked over. and they'll drop back 5 yards. The official numbers is a 40-yard fumble recovery for the touchdown by Mr. McDonald. So we'll kick it over. Doherty booted that one out of bounds, and he must know something about Schweibert, because they're not even coming close to going to the other side of the field where you might see Timmy Barnes or Scott Whalahan handle the football.
It's good sound football. You're keeping it away from the most dangerous return man. And in their scouting report and their coaching and their teachings from their coach, they want to keep the ball away from Schweibert or Timmy Barnes.
So we'll do it all over again. He'll boot it from the 35-yard line this time on the penalty. 5 yards, they'll drop back. But with the leg of Doherty, I don't think the 5 yards will really mean that much. 23-6, the Mineola Mustangs on top, looking to revenge that 38-6 loss last year in the Conference 4 championship that snapped the 13-game Mineola win streak. And we are about set once again for the kick. Doherty, this is a short end over end. Picked up there by Whalahan, but he downs it. His knee hit the ground at about the 26-yard line, so no chance for the run back. So 1st and 10 for Cold Spring Harbor from the 26-yard line as they take to the offense. So David Shum will have to try to get some offense generated, and then when you really don't throw a football and you basically rely on a running game, it's tough to score points quickly.
Indeed it is. You've roughly 2 minutes 40-some seconds to go into the third quarter, but yet you've got an entire fourth, so I don't think you should try to get those points back in a hurry. Take your time, go up and score, then work on another.
New quarterback in the game, number 11, that's Yashevsky, back to pass, trying to hit receiver, well covered, and the pass went astray. That was David Shum he was throwing to. So Yashevsky and Shum have exchanged places.
You can see right away that Yashevsky has a much better arm, or I would say maybe not a better arm, but a stronger arm to throw the deep pass, much stronger than Shum.
You see Shum walking over to the sideline, standing there now. And Yashevsky's going to bark out the signals for Cold Spring Harbor as he brings the troops up. They're still in that unbalanced, that wing T. They shuffle all day long. And it's 2nd down and 10 from the 26. This is Barnes in trouble in the backfield. Try to break a tackle. Might have gotten back to the line of scrimmage. Brought down there by number 77, Peter Winter. So the defense coming up big. The offense has done it for Mineola, and the defense just scored on that fumble recovery. But now they're trying to hold back Cold Spring Harbor once again.
That ball almost popped out from the grasp of number 23, Timmy Barnes, in that last play. But as Barnes squirted loose, he was able to hold on to the pigskin.
So Yashevsky, the new quarterback. As we said, Shum split out wide to the right side. This is Yashevsky. He's back to pass, setting up. Now rolling out to his right, trying to get out of the grass for Weiler. Number 37, 37, Mark Cataliotti coming in there and making the stop. He came out of that linebacker position, and Weiler couldn't get him, but Cataliotti sure did.
Nice play by Cagliari. And I tell you what, Yashevsky doesn't really care about who's out in front. As we watch again on a replay, Yashevsky goes back looking for his receivers and finds that nobody is open, gets pressure from the backside. Now watch him take off here. Now he knows that Cagliari is out in front, and he tries to just bowl right over him.
Well, it's 4th down and 12 from the 24-yard line. Back to punt is Bentley. He does the place kicking. He's on the soccer team, in fact, and all he'll do is punt and place kick. Gets a nice high spiral boot. This is Acosta back on his 34-yard line. Fumbles the football. Picked up by Callahan. He has trouble, but he's going to fight him off at about the 4-yard line. He couldn't get into the end zone. He was chased down there by number 20 and couldn't get into the end zone. He stumbled. Callahan picked up the football. Now the referees are discussing whether or not he was able to pick it up and run. They're walking back to the original point of where the ball dropped on the ground. In fact, Danny Acosta is down and he is hurt. And the trainers are out there looking. And I don't know why they would bring it back as they attend to Mr. Acosta. But Callahan had trouble once he picked up the football. Let's see what actually happened, because we'll get another look right here.
I'll watch again here as Acosta loses control of the football and Callahan picks it up into the end zone.
Demetria ran him down there.
They need to cut that grass in that area.
It was a blade that was just a little bit too high.
One piece up a bit too high as we watch the medical people here check on number 5, Dan Acosta.
And they look to be working on his left knee, and anytime you see the knee, you've got to stop and think a little bit, because that's the most vulnerable place, and that's where you see a lot of guys go down. And there's a good shot right in there with him, and Acosta seems to, well, he's limping off. He's dragging that left foot all right, and they're going to maybe be best to just carry him off. But it's good to see him walking off the field, better than them having to carry him off. But the ball will be at the 35-yard line of Mineola. So obviously, I don't know what the ruling was, but I guess you can't run it back. And they'll put it into play. Cold Spring Harbor will come out on offense. They're let out of their huddle by number 51. That's Doug Tewksbury, the center, maybe one of the smallest guys on that line. So something to look forward to for the Seahawks. They've got fine field position. They trail in the game. And that's Callahan. He picks up about 5. He's down to the 30, so it'll be 2nd and 5. 23-6, Mineola in front. And this is a big possession right here. They've got a break, and they've got to take advantage of it.
Yes, they do. It's a big break for the Seahawks of Cold Spring Harbor. And the guy that carried the ball the last time was the man that recovered the fumbled football. And we're inside the 30.
Yeah, it's about the 31-yard line, they're calling it. 2nd down and 6 with 10 seconds to go. This is Yashevsky, the quarterback. He replaced Shum, who went out on the last series. This is Barnes looking for the far side. Cuts back to the inside, and he's hit it about the 25 or 26-yard line. Pickup of about 5, and that was the last play of the 3rd quarter. So they'll change ends, and we'll have to see if Cold Spring Harbor can punch it in from the other side. And we'll be back with the 4th quarter action following this timeout. You're watching high school football on Cablevision.
I never ran before I came to Adelphi. Now I can't imagine not doing it. It really helps having the kind of encouragement I've gotten here. It makes Adelphi feel like a small college. But I'm glad it's a big university with lots of courses and career options, because I'm making choices that will affect my whole life. I'm excited about my future. In fact, sometimes I can't wait to graduate. It's sort of like running. Once you get started, you want to see how far you can go.
Adelphi University, where the advantages of a major university and a small college meet.
They're coming to Genovese. Genovese is now installing IBM computers for your prescription care. It's the GenCare Pharmacy computer system. Now at Genovese, your prescription history can be stored in the computer for your convenience, so the pharmacist can check your file on the computer. This helps your Genovese pharmacist see your prescription profile and allergies. The GenCare Pharmacy computer system. Now at Genovese, a real drugstore.
I'm Barry Landers with Jerry McDougall, president of Apple Bank. Jerry, our 2nd season underway, and we're just delighted to have Apple Bank back as our major sponsor.
And we're delighted to be back, Barry. We regard it as an important community effort to back Long Island's youth because, after all, they're our future here on Long Island. And we're delighted to participate with the Long Island Sports Network.
And we're happy to have you back as well.
Apple Bank for savings. We're good for you.
Ontario's number 33, Chris Callahan, the big fullback. And he almost lost the football too, Carl, but he was able to hug and squeeze it until he hit the ground.
And number 12, David Shum, reports back in, and he'll go out a wide receiver position. That's Shum, split out, number 12. Yashevsky is the new quarterback. Yashevsky back to pass, sets up, looking for number 22. He got bumped, and they're looking for a flag. And Emerson Boozer says there should be a flag. The wingback, Mike Camera, was bumped by the defensive back, and no flag was thrown.
Yeah, those of you watching at home, watch this again. Mike Cameron almost gets whiplash from one of the defenders from behind just as the ball approaches. And I think the official might have been out of position because certainly this was pass interference.
And there you see it. And it was, I didn't touch him. He always backed away. There's 11.5 minutes to play in this game, and Mineola is on top by a score of 23-6. Yashevsky, here's the pitch to Barnes, looks for running room. He's got it, and he's inside the 20-yard line, getting close. to the goal as he's brought down by number 77, Peter Winter. Tough to see from this vantage point, but we'll just see how far he did get.
This is one of Cold Spring Harbor's bread and butter plays. Coach Queso loves it. He can score running at you 10, 15 times a ball game. Sometimes they stop it, but this time they don't. They get the good crack, and that top ground gainer, Timmy Barnes, finds that opening and barrels the ball down around to about the 14-yard line.
It is the 14-yard line. In fact, it is 3rd and 2 from the 14. A big play upcoming. Yashevsky gives to the big guy. And in fact, I got faked out. I followed the big guy Callahan. The give was actually to number 23, Barnes. I watched the ball up the middle, but Barnes, see, I'm not a running back in.
No, you couldn't have been a linebacker either.
No. But the give went to Barnes, and we'll see why I got faked out, maybe.
A nice faking here by
Yashevsky, the quarterback.
Nice fake. He puts it in the belly of Callahan, gives it off to Timmy Barnes, and Barnes bulls his way up for just a few yards.
Just a few, and they'll call it a long one on 4th down. And a very important 4th down play because they trail by some 17 points, Cold Spring Harbor, and we're in the 4th quarter. The give to Barnes, and it looks like he's got that 1st down. Looks like he got about 2 yards on the play, so it should be 1st down and probably close to the 10-yard line as they unscramble from the pileup. Number 58, Andy Cunningham, getting up from the bottom, and you saw number 14, Rich Weiler. Now you see number 12, David Shum, reporting back in the game for Cold Spring Harbor.
You think there was any doubt of who was going to get the football on that 4th and 1 at that point?
I guess not. I guess not. And there's Al Wideline. He's showing some concern as Cold Spring Harbor putting together a relatively small drive. And we'll see what Yashevsky could do with the offense. Fumble again, Barnes, and manages to pick it up. That's the 3rd time he's fumbled. And not having the game that Timmy Barnes should be having.
No, he isn't, but on that exchange, as we see Coach Queso screaming instructions to his offensive unit, indicating, I think, something with a pass or attack on the left side. But anyway, I don't think Timmy had the ball at that time from the exchange from Szczesny back to Barnes. It was not a good exchange.
All right, there's Yashevsky. It's possibility of the new quarterback coming in, too, replacing Shum. Yashevsky looking in the end zone. Great catch on a dive by number 22, Mike Kammer, at about the 1-yard line, flying through the air. Kammer hauls in Yashevsky's aerial.
About a 4-yard line, and we picked that up right away. Great camera work by our crew as we were watching Coach Queso from the sideline. It appeared as though he was indicating to Szczesny that he wanted to throw the football. Watch again on our replay as the backup QB, Scott Szczesny, goes over, finds his receiver.
And number 22, Mike Kammer. And he made a great dive on that. And you see how close it is to the goal line. They can get a 1st down also. And it is a 1st down from about the 1-foot line. So they have 4 chances to punch it over from about a foot. And we'll see what they can do as they need a touchdown desperately here. Clock running, 9:35 to go, 23-6 Mineola. Yashevsky brings the ball up to the goal line. There's the give to Barnes, touchdown. Timmy Barnes from about a foot off the handoff from Yashevsky. 23-12 now. Cold Spring Harbor getting a little bit closer.
I think I had traded Szczesny over to Cold Spring Harbor because right now, and has been in the 3rd quarter here, Rich Yashevsky has been the quarterback.
Well, trades are made in football. I don't know on all levels, but that's all right, Em. But more importantly, 23-12 now in the 2-point conversion, which they always go for, could bring him within 9. So Yashevsky, the new quarterback, manufactured a somewhat good drive, and Barnes taking it over from about the yard line. And see what they could do here. Fumble off the handoff, and that'll thwart any kind of 2-point conversion. And now we're just going to go back for the Cold Spring Harbor kickoff. But confusion in there. A new quarterback, new with the center, new with the running backs late in the game. Is that problems?
Yes, I think that was part of the problem, too. In this drive, when Timmy Barnes lost the ball in the backfield, it was not a smooth exchange between Yashevsky and Timmy Barnes.
Well, speaking of Timmy Barnes, we get another look at his half-yard gallop over the line.
Nice movement by the guys up front, because without the guys up front, the Timmy Barnes and the Callahans do not score. Tewksbury, Knapp, Restieri, and Miller.
And the same goes for McDonald's offensive line when Mineola. Hey, There's Barry. Barry's at the hot dog stand, and it's close to Halloween, and I don't know if that's a mask or what, but good impression of Barry, wouldn't you say?
Barry who?
Oh, see, I guess everybody forgot about the man. Well, yeah, that's true. We know he's by the food, that's for sure. Barnes in the game, 25 carries, 95 yards. He's fumbled 3 times, and he scored a touchdown, and he is the leading rusher thus far. This is Cataliotti going all the way back to the 3-yard line. Almost stumbles, has some running room, looks to cut back, and he's brought down closer to the 20, maybe about the 19-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Mineola Mustangs.
It looks as though number 11, the linebacker and quarterback in the second half, Rich Yashevsky, goes down to make the stop.
And I guess this is the point in time in a ball game where a coach with a comfortable lead of 11 points at 23-12 would like to see his team march up 80 yards and kill 7 or 8 minutes off the clock in doing so.
Oh, of course, you'd like to run the football at this point, but many things can happen either running it or passing it. 9 minutes is an awful lot of time in a football game.
So, as Emerson Boozer says, anything can happen in so many words. Bob Truman is the quarterback for Mineola. 6'2", 195-pound junior, gives to Mr. McDonald, and he bucks through the line there for about 2 yards, so it should be about 2nd and 8 from the 21-yard line of Mineola. McDonald hasn't carried the ball as often as I thought he was going to carry it today, but I guess with the lead, you can do other things and use other people.
Yeah, that's basically it. Your offensive team and your opponent's defense dictate what you will do on a given Saturday afternoon.
So Mineola breaking out of the huddle. This is number 12, Scott Cesney, coming wide to the left side. 2nd down and 9, we'll call it, from the 20-yard line. 8:15 to go in the ball game. Man in motion is Weiler. This is Truman. Truman gives off to McDonald, has trouble finding running room, and he's brought down in the backfield. In on the stop there was a couple of people for Cold Spring Harbor. Number 62, I see his number in there. That's John Knapp. And he's the man that is about 200 pounds. He's a senior, he's a co-captain. And he's a transfer from a school down in Houston. Came to Long Island and finding some good things happening on Cold Spring Harbor's team.
I would call that a trade.
Well, you've been trading a lot of people. There you see McDonald, 14 rushes, 73 yards. He's in motion now as he moves to the right side of your picture. McDonald on the quarterback fake, taking it straight up the middle. Truman with some running room, busts the tackle up to the 45-yard line. I don't know if it was a play that he called or a broken play, but dropped back 1 step, and then boom, shot up there for a 25-yard gain.
It looked to be by design, which you might call a quarterback draw. Watch again in there, a replay. He takes about 1, 2, pumps the ball in the air, say, I'm going to throw the football. Now, here's the giveaway. You see number 78, Chris Andriaki, get out front to block. That was a giveaway that this is by design, quarterback draw.
So it'll be 1st down and 10 from the 45-yard line of Mineola. Clock ticking away, 7:05 to go. Mineola, the Mustangs, they're on top by a score of 23-12. This is Truman. There's the pitch. That's McDonald finding running room. Breaks the tackle. Flag thrown. Pickup of about 3. We'll check out the flag. McDonald hit the line, bounced back, and then went forward again for about another yard or 2. But let's see what the flag is. And we'll try to pick up the crew of Ron Winchester. He's the referee.
There were 2 flags thrown into the pile. Now, usually when that second flag goes in there, somebody's either pinching or biting or scratching. So the guy that gets bitten or scratched, he gets the second flag.
Offsetting penalties. It's a clip against Mineola, face mask against Cold Spring Harbor. No harm. And we'll just leave the ball actually where the McDonald was brought down. Oh, wait a minute now. I guess they'll take
offsetting penalties. You bring it back to the original spot.
Okay. And look at this. Mike McDonald in the first half, 68 yards. In the second half, almost nothing. So, 73 yards on the afternoon for a man who has rushed for 200-plus yards on 3 different occasions this season, over 1,200 yards last year. The fake, and this is Cataliotti, crosses the 50 down to about the 48-yard line. He faked the pitch to McDonald and went on the inside to the handoff to the big fullback.
Well, this is certainly not McDonald's lowest productions total for the season. In the first ball game, he had 6 carries for only 55 yards.
Only 55 yards. That's only a 9 yard per carry, right?
Somewhat there. 8 or close to 9.
You averaged about that in your career, didn't you? Close to 8-9 yards a carry, right?
Oh, come on.
Second down and 3 from the 48-yard line for Mineola. They are in Cold Spring Harbor territory. Here's the pitch. This is McDonald coming to the near side, trying to get outside, and does not get the room he needs. Brought down there, chased out of bounds by number 33, Chris Callahan for Cold Spring Harbor. Get a good look at McDonald as he walked back to the huddle. And we'll see him get chased out of bounds. This is a great end zone shot.
Watch it again. The ball is tossed a little bit behind McDonald, and he has to keep it cradled into the right arm. It almost gets a loss here as Callahan gets a piece of the football.
David Shum also veered him in the wrong direction, pushing him outside towards Callahan. You see number 80, Jim Casey, coming in to the ball game. Good receiver. And we saw him make a catch early in the game. You get a great shot. Spalding football lying on the 46-yard line of Cold Spring Harbor. Man in motion is Cesny as he comes to the near side. There's the fake. The inside to Cataliotti picks up about 4 more yards. So slowly but surely, Mineola putting together a drive, wearing the time off the clock with only 5:35 to go in the ball game.
We got to stop the running game. Come on, now, relax in there.
So we have 2nd down and 7 from the 42-yard line, 23-12, Mineola on top. They've been on top ever since the opening kickoff when they drove some 75 yards. And McDonald carried in from 11. That put him on top 7-0. It was 7-6. Doherty made it 10-6 at the half. Both teams have scored touchdowns. In fact, 2 touchdowns for Mineola to 1 for Cold Spring Harbor in the second half. Straight drop. This is Truman. Flag down on the play. He's got Weiler down at the 30. Inside the 30 to about the 27, but a flag down in the backfield. And we'll check it out. Chased out of bounds by Rich Yashevsky. Number 11 and number 12, Dave Shum. And it probably will be a holding call against Mineola, which would negate the big gain here. And they are walking it back, so the pass completion will go for naught as Truman and company are going to be walked back to their side of the 50-yard line. And they'll mark it there, and they'll take over. Under 5 now, at 4:55, and 11 points is looking even better and better for the Mineola Mustangs. And let's see, play coming in from the sidelines. It'll be relayed to the quarterback. And going out is the right tackle there, John Wilson. 2nd down, 22 from the 43-yard line of Mineola. And we'll see what the play brought in from the sidelines, just what it is. Cataliotti in the backfield with McDonald. Cesny in motion. Here's the pitch to McDonald. Trying to go outside. McDonald some room. Spins off a couple of men. Finally brought down by number 23, Chris Callahan, and number 23, Tim Barnes, number 33, Chris Callahan. So McDonald only 5 yards in the second half, seeing more and more action as the game wanes on.
Let's look at this play again by McDonald. As Truman pitches out to McDonald, and he does a fine piece of running here just by getting the corner with speed. Now he turns it on, lets the body go, good balance as he tries to pirouette around the corner, picking up yardage.
Greg Roman got hit down there, the cameraman. 3rd down and 8 from the 43-yard line. Greg's an adventurous type of person. He likes being down in the action. Flag thrown on the play. This is McDonald on the carry. But we'll check out this flag as McDonald picks up another 4 or 5 yards. It looks to be like illegal motion against Mineola, which of course they will bring it back and push him back even further, another 5 yards. So we went almost 3/4 of some solid football and no flags. And the last 5 or 6 minutes, we've seen as many flags as we had the whole game.
I don't know what caused them this late in the ball game. It could be fatigue setting in, or just the
Mustangs is declined by Cold Spring Harbor.
It's declined the penalty. Coach Dick Queso declines the penalty, and they're going to call a timeout. Mineola is going to call for time and try to straighten some things out here on offense. And Dick Queso is going to run out and talk to his team about the defensive stand. And we have about 4 minutes and 15 seconds to go in the game, and Mineola is on top by a score of 23-12. And hey, who's that guy over there, huh? That's Greg Rahman, the cameraman that we're talking about. Where's Emerson Boozer? We don't know. We'll try to find him during this commercial break. And I'd just like to remind you that you're watching high school football on Cablevision.
The university, locus for clear and consistent thinking, the appreciation of our cultural heritage, the advancement of knowledge, the intellectual growth of students, and the essential preparation for a chosen career. And most important, the free inquiry after truth. The university is St. John's.
Jerry, a great way to end last season. Happy faces, beautiful trophies, and now this season underway.
Well, we at Apple Bank are looking forward to the coming season as well, Barry. Based on the response that we got from people who came into our branches this past season telling us that how pleased they were we were sponsoring Long Island sports, we're looking forward to another season with the Long Island Sports Network.
Apple Bank for savings. We're good for you.
Hampton Stadium is the site. Mineola and Cold Spring Harbor. I'm Carl Reuter along with Emerson Boozer and M4:15 to go. And Mineola holding on to a 23-12 lead. They have the football right now with a 4th down and 2. And the timeout was called before by Al Wideline, their coach, and we'll see what the play was. This is Truman on the drop. Simple pass to Jim Casey. Looks to be good for the 1st down at about the 31-yard line. So they'll continue to run some more time off the clock. Nice little simple pass play, Truman to Casey. And there's the coach, Al Wideline of Mineola. Bright sunny afternoon, shading his eyes with that clipboard as he looks into the blue skies here at Hampton Stadium. So, Truman, he's got 2 wide receivers now, Cesny and Casey. Cesny's in the slot left. Casey is split wide to the left. Running backs Catagliati and McDonald. This is McDonald with the ball. Crosses the 30 and stops at about the 28-yard line. Brought down by number 33, Chris Callahan.
That time, McDonald put on a beautiful move right at the corner as the outside linebacker of that side, number 11, Rich Jaszewski, comes up to make the tackle. And McDonald just gave him the old, here it is, and now you don't have it. And went on around the outside, picking up about 4 yards.
2nd down and 7 yards from the 28-yard line. Get a good shot at Mark Catagliati, the big fullback, and Mike McDonald. And obviously we are getting the 4-minute warning to both coaches.
Carl, this drive now has taken 5 minutes, 43 seconds.
You sure about the 43? Emerson Boozer on top of that clock. I love it. All right, Truman, the quarterback. Here's the pitch. This is McDonald, and in the backfield with a big play. Drop for a big loss, number 24 coming up. And that is Bob DeRiso coming up from his linebacker spot. And let's see him make the tackle of McDonald.
Good tackle here by DeRiso as the ball is pitched out to McDonald. And DeRiso comes up, giving a nice shot into the thighs, bringing down McDonald.
Loss of 5. It's 3rd and 13 from the 34-yard line. As DeRiso read that play nicely, got into the backfield before McDonald was able to get underway. And that's a good point that you made earlier in the game, that he stands so far back, 10 yards deep. DeRiso has a chance to come in there before he actually, McDonald gets to the line. This is McDonald again, trying to follow his blockers, finding some running room. And he's down inside the 25 to about the 24-yard line. So a pickup of about 10 yards on the play. It'll be about 4th and 3. And there is a young fan just waving, wearing a, I wonder if that's a Kansas City Chief jersey. And he's got a little megaphone, having a good time at Hampton Stadium watching, well, we don't know who his favorite team is. Could be Mineola, could be Cold Spring Harbor. But anyway, 4th down, 3 yards to go. You a little bit surprised that they're not going for a field goal and rather try to punch it over here for the 1st down?
No, I'm not. The ball game is, I would say, in hand. for Mineola, and they're taking their time. They're trying to get another score, but they're not pressing it.
There's Truman looking to the end zone. Casey tried to make a one-hand grab. It was thrown behind him, and the coverage back there by number 25, Peter Schweibert. Casey tried to make an acrobatic catch. It didn't work. And there's Dick Queso sending in the plays. His team has got to march in a hurry to the end zone, and then onside kick and march very quickly again into the end zone for a tying touchdown if they want to have a chance in this game. They trail 23-12. There's David Shum. He started the game at quarterback, and he's on the sideline talking with his coach. Rich Yashevsky, though, engineered that last drive that Timmy Barnes punched it over from about the 1. And almost too many men on the field, but everything is straightened out. This is Yashevsky. He's got to throw the ball, throwing to the sideline, and really overthrew his receiver. Nobody was there except Mark Cataliotti of Mineola. So it'll be 2nd down and 10 yards to go. There's a good look at number 11, Rich Yashevsky. He's the quarterback, came in the 3rd quarter of play.
That was a classy move by Coach Al Whiteline in the last 4th down attempt to have his quarterback go ahead and try to go for the score. If you don't get the score, turn the ball back to Cold Spring Harbor at about the around the 25-yard line.
2 minutes to go. Yashevsky back to pass, looking downfield for Shum. He overthrows him and almost intercepted there by number 22, Mike Pasqualino, who's in the ball game now in a defensive secondary slot for Mineola. So Yashevsky showing a strong arm, but not able to connect with his receiver. Pasqualina, not Lino. Okay, so there's an A at the end of it, not an O, and I stand corrected as we see the roster right in front of me now. Thank you, Emerson Boozer. Yashevsky back to pass. This time throws short. And not having the afternoon here in the 2nd half. He's throwing short, he's throwing long. He's not able to connect with his receivers. And it's going to be 4th down coming up. And there's only 1:46 to go in this game. And it looks like Mineola has recovered and come back from that tough 38-6 loss they suffered in the hands of Cold Spring Harbor in the Conference 4 championship game last year.
Well, see, I wouldn't really call that a revenge or even recovering, because last year that was for all the marbles. That was for the title. And this one here is just fighting to stay alive by the Mineola Mustang.
Well, 13-game win streak was on the line. That was stopped in that game. And Chris Bentley back to kick. He's punted a few times this afternoon. Gets a nice kick that nobody's going to cover back there. It rolls to about the 20, down inside the 10 to the 5. And this is going to be quite a boot because they let it roll. And we'll try to get the official number on this punt. But it was a long one. Nobody went back. Al Weiland said, I guess I don't want anybody back there. I don't want any fumbles or anything with 1.5 minutes to go. Smart thing to do. 1st and 10 from the 5-yard line for Mineola. And you see the Mineola fans, their Mustangs are going to go away with a win this afternoon if they can hold off another 1 minute and 30 seconds on the clock.
And they will go 4 and 2, and the Seahawks will drop to 3 and 2. And that last punt by Bentley, was it Bentley that hit that thing?
That was Bentley.
A nice 71-yard punt. Now this thing will do, that 71 yards will do wonders
for the
punter's average.
That is correct. As I guess Steve O'Neill's 98-yard punt back with the Jets must have done wonders for his average.
Absolutely. It rolled at least 30 yards.
That's it. So it's 1st and 10. Truman leading the troops from the 5-yard line. And he's got 1:25 to kill off. They won't look to do anything fancy here. This is McDonald on the handoff. He's got the ball, and I guess about out to the 10-yard line. Pick up of about 5 yards. It should be about 2nd and 5. So McDonald staying in the game.
What you don't want to happen here, Carl, you can't let up, is allow McDonald to pop one down here about 80, 90 yards.
Boy, if he gets through that line with his speed, he'll just burst through the secondary, and he will go for about 90 yards. It's 2nd down and 4 for the Mustangs. They lead 23-12, 1:11 to go in the game. Handoff again. This is McDonald trying to get outside, but he was brought down after a little or no gain at all. And we do have A whistle there. Number 62, John Knapp, senior co-captain for Cold Spring Harbor, in on the snap, in on the stop. As you see, a timeout called with just a little over a minute to go in the game. And there's McDonald, 22 rushes, 108 yards, but I guess a quiet 108 yards. He did have that 11-yard touchdown run early in the game. He had some 68 yards in the first half, and he's added another 40 or so here in the second half, but not an explosive type game that he's displayed this season.
Right, it has not been the kind of game that McDonald is capable of having, but yet through it all, 22 carries for 108 yards. It's a good afternoon's work as we see Coach Queso go out, and this is somewhat of a, I guess, still a teaching and coaching experience by Coach Queso to his defensive unit out there. I don't know what the instructions were, but it was the opportune time, I'm sure he felt, to go out and keep the guys going and not to have that let down.
57 ticks left on the clock. And Mineola will be victorious and walk away with this big win over Cold Spring Harbor, a game that they had to win, Mineola. And there's the give again. That's McDonald just getting out over about the 15-yard line, crosses up to about the 17-yard line. Should be enough for a first down. Clock shows 46 seconds on it, and I guess they just stopped it to move the chains to verify for the first down. And it should start up any second again, and it does. First and 10 for Mineola from the 17-yard line. And a good ball game. Al Wideline's club played the good, sound, basic football. I mean, they're walking away with a very solid effort and a tough win against a tough club. We'll wind it down. 25 seconds to go. This might be and probably will be the last play of the game, as Truman handed off, and with 18 seconds left, they don't even have to put the ball into play. And the clock will just run down. And you see the ball being marked. 8 seconds to go, 7 seconds. They're counting it down, and that was the last play of the game. Mineola is victorious, Emerson Boozer, 23-12, as the final gun goes off.
And Mineola has done what they had to do coming into this ball game. They had to win to stay in contention in Division IV conference. If they were to get to the playoffs at all, they're not assured as of yet, but certainly it keeps their hopes alive. And for Cold Spring Harbor, they dropped to 3-2 on the season.
So we will hopefully be able to talk to the coach and a player, the Apple Bank player, when we get down for our post game. But once again, the final score, Mineola 23, Cold Spring Harbor 12. And as Emerson Boozer said, it's a big win in the Conference 4. So we will be back with some post-game activities following this commercial timeout. You are watching high school football on Cablevision.
Jerry, here's a free pass to our next game.
Thanks, Barry, and here's something free for you, a free Apple Bank checking account.
Free?
Absolutely free. No monthly maintenance charges, no per-check charges, nothing.
I can write all the checks I want at no cost?
The only charge you'll get is out of Apple Bank's fine service. And we'll pay you 5.25% interest on balances of $700 or more.
Apple Bank for savings. We're good for you.
It really helps having the kind of encouragement I've gotten here. It makes Adelphi feel like a small college. But I'm glad it's a big university with lots of courses and career options, because I'm making choices that will affect my whole life. I'm excited about my future. In fact, sometimes I can't wait to graduate. It's sort of like running. Once you get started, you want to see how far you can go.
Adelphi University, where the advantages of a major university and a small college meet.
Back here at Hampton Stadium, Carl Reuter along with Emerson Boozer, and the man in the middle of us, Mike McDonald, the Apple Bank MVP for today's game. Mineola beating Cold Spring Harbor by a score of 23-12. And Mike, just another outstanding performance by you. You had 114 yards on 23 carries, an 11-yard touchdown run, and then that fumble recovery, you raced it back 40 yards.
Thank you.
Well, coming into the game today, you knew you had to win. They were a tough club. And last year you lost to them. I'm sure you wanted to get back.
Yes,
what did you talk about during this last week of practice?
Really, we just talked about games get tougher as we go along. Next week we have another tough one against Locust Valley. But most of all, we wanted revenge on Cold Spring Harbor.
Emerson, from one running back to another, I'm sure you have a couple of questions for Mike.
Mike, you appear to be the kind of runner that runs with a lot of confidence. Did you do any working on your legs over the summer?
Yeah, mostly it was upper body, but then I realized how important it was for legs. So then I started working on legs, mostly during the summer.
I noticed that when you approach a defender, you're not really looking at him. You see him, but you're not looking at him. You're giving him that shot at the legs and trying to pull it away.
Yes. I'm looking upfield for the touchdown, and then the other ones, you know, defenders.
For most runners, that's the key. Seeing a back take a shot in the legs, head still up instead of cowering a bit or getting ready to absorb a blow. A runner like McDonald is looking downfield right now, as you said earlier. He's looking for the big score, be it a 50-yarder, 80-yarder, 90. Good luck, Mike, the rest of the year.
Thank you.
Great job, Mike McDonald. And, of course, standing over just a couple of feet away is Frank Cortali. He's got Al Wideline, the Mineola coach.
Coach, you said that the team had to score early, control the ball on offense. That's exactly what they did.
Well, we did. You know, we haven't been doing that lately, and this is the first game we really put it together, and we needed it. Our backs were against the wall, and one more loss could put us in jeopardy of not making the playoffs, and these kids came out to play today.
Yes, you said it was a must-win before the game, that Mineola has to keep on winning, and next week you have undefeated Locust Valley, #1 in your conference, and what do you look for against Locust Valley?
Locust Valley is a great club. Last year they were the champs. Fred Smith and his staff, they're great. They're the best in the division until someone tries to take it away from them, and we've got to keep winning, and we're going to try to give them a good game.
Okay, Coach, congratulations. Let's go back to Emerson and Carl for the final words.
Thanks very much, Frank. And Emerson, on a sun-setting afternoon here at Hampton Stadium, Mineola does what they have to. They came out, they controlled the football early, they scored early, and a 23-12 win, but more important, a bigger win because of the Conference 4, how tight it is once we get into the playoffs come the end of the month.
Cold Spring, Carl Place, and Locust Valley are leading that division. I think both might be undefeated. And if the Mustangs were to stay close, they had to win today. It was a do-or-die situation in that kind of situation. They come up winning a ball game, a good ball game by Cold Spring Harbor, but on the short end of the stick. I think Coach Queso and his crew can be very proud of their boys and how well they played. But yet, they were losers this afternoon, but Coach Wideline was a very thrilled head coach, and McDonald having an outstanding day again in Game 6 of this Conference 4 big ball game.
Were you surprised by anything that happened today?
Yes, I was. I didn't think that Cold Spring Harbor would throw the football as much as they did, even though they're getting behind, dictated throwing the football. And I didn't think that the Mustangs would throw as much as they did with the kind of runner that Mike McDonald is.
So that about wrap it up here from Hampton Stadium. Em, it was a great game, and it was a pleasure to work with you. Once again, I guess I'll be back on the sideline duty when Barry Landers returns, but once again, it was a pleasure.
I enjoyed it, and I hope you get back in the booth.
So, for Frank Cortali and Emerson Boozer, this is Carl Reuter saying goodbye, reminding you that the next 2 high school football games coming up will feature first the Sewanee Indians taking on the Blue Cow.
Ray Price. Country Christmas can be delivered right to your home in time for the holidays, so order today. Silver bells. Tanya Tucker. Silver bells. Oh, jingle bells, Erlen Husky. All the way. Stereo LP, only $8.98. 8-track or cassette tape, only $9.98. Here's how to order your Country Christmas right now.
COD and credit card customers call toll-free 1-800-554-3838. That's 1-800-554-3838. Or save $3 in COD fees by sending $8.98 for the record, $9.98 for 8-track or cassette tape, plus $2 postage and handling to Country Christmas. P.O. Box 38, Brighton, Massachusetts.
It's time again for the warm-up.